NASCAR Bank of America Roval 400. Of course, at the Charlotte Motor Speedway road course configuration that we've seen what is now going to be the sixth race here already in the NASCAR Cup Series tenure of the second Charlotte event on the schedule, taking place again on this road course configuration. But it's not the usual Charlotte Roval configuration. Changes have been made to the infield section of the racetrack. So with that being said, there is now more practice this weekend than we would typically see on a NASCAR race weekend. We will still have group practice, I do believe, but it will be two separate practice sessions for each group. I believe two 20-minute sessions, and obviously with the field split in half for each of those groups. Cars are just now rolling out onto the racetrack for the first time as we're about to begin this first of two sessions here today. So be sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. We have live commentary NASCAR streams every NASCAR race weekend for Truck, Xfinity, and Cup Series races, as well as practice qualifying for the Cup Series as well. This is obviously our first live commentary stream of the weekend. Truck Series off this week. They have not run at the Charlotte Roval yet, though that will be introduced to them next season. As far as this race goes here today, or at least I should say the race for tomorrow with practice going on today, it's going to be very interesting to see what this new layout brings. Most of the track obviously the same as what it has been before, but a little bit different in that infield section. And I think we're going to see some similar speeds for those that have won road course races this year. Obviously, we just had one about a month ago or so at Watkins Glen. A lot of non-playoff drivers in contention for the win. I think that'll be the case again here this weekend, largely due to the fact that a lot of these drivers running to try to make it to the round of 8, they're going to want those stage points, and that's going to sacrifice the running position for when the final stage begins. We haven't seen a lot of passing with this current car on road courses or short tracks, so qualifying is going to be very important to watch as well here today, as that precedes obviously practice as usual.
We look back as to what it was. So this is the Roval of the past, and the big change here in the infield, the 5, 6, 7 combination has changed, where now you basically come out of turn 5 to a mini straightaway to a fast sweeping turn 6 into a 180-degree hairpin turn 7, which then leads up onto the banking. Also some adjustments over there in 15, 16, and 17 that we talked about. And this is kind of that area. So we're heading into 5. DJ, you turn right, the line from 5 to 6.
Yeah, you can see where it used to be more of a wide open. You can see right here, they have no idea what's on the other side there as they cross that hill. They're not even coming out of second gear. The Xfinity cars weren't anyway, and I'm sure a lot of it's going to be the same way here. But the corner to get back onto the oval part of the racetrack down in turn 1 of the oval is completely different. More of a hairpin turn. I can see a lot of action during today's Xfinity race plus tomorrow's Cup race in that area.
Stevie, get your magic marker, get the telestrator, and just highlight that area between 5 and 6. We were riding with Joey Logano.
Right here.
Just there.
6. Yeah.
Folks, that is surprisingly fast and blind. The boys were talking about it being blind, but you go up and over there and you have to get your car position just right. Jeff Burton took Steve and myself for several laps around in the Toyota pace car earlier today, and it is a really eye-opening part of the track. TV may not do it justice, but you're going to see some action there. Yes, we focus on the tighter points of the track, TJ, where we're going to maybe see some adventurous moves, but something's going to happen over that crest between 5 and 6 and leading around to 7 there.
Yeah, you just, as the drivers get more comfortable with what they're seeing and feeling here, then tomorrow that's only going to see opportunity. And I just think that turn 7 is going to lend itself to getting 2, 3, and maybe 4 wide out of that.
Right here is where DJ's talking about.
Yes, you make this. So you can see the drivers right now staying wide. They leave that inside open. Somebody's going to get there. Somebody behind there that's going to say, oh, I can get to the outside of both of these. I think it's going to make for some big runs here. What is off of turn 2, if you will, of the oval down the back straightaway.
No surprise, AJ Allmendinger, who's also in the monster lap there by the 16 car of AJ, who has laps on the new configuration from earlier. So from Joey Logano to the 16, the Corlick Racing entry, the Celsius entry of AJ Allmendinger, gave it his best shot in Xfinity Series qualifying. That pole position went to Shane Van Gisbergen. AJ, the defending race winner here at the Bank of America Roval 400, he'd love to do it again. That'd mean a lot. Remember his emotional interview last year, Kim, where he said, when Marty asked him, it was super important to AJ.
Yeah, almost in tears last year with his Cup Series run. I talked to him this weekend just about what it means to be playing double duty, knowing what's on the line in the Xfinity Series. And he said it's such a huge advantage, regardless of the car's difference, that's getting extra seat time with these new changes. And after the Xfinity Series practice, I asked him headed into this practice, what jumped out at you in terms of the track differences? And he said there were two things that he really circled that were different. And he said it feels like you actually have more car control off of turn 5 than before. Before he just felt like he was going to lose the car in years past. And then the other big thing, those turtles in the front stretch chicane, he said they felt way taller. In fact, from the Xfinity Series practice, it knocked the steering wheel out of his hands the first time he went over it. But he thinks it's because of the angle you're coming in now to that chicane. It's much sharper than years past.
So when AJ mentions turtles, so you see here around the track, there's normal, different variation of curving. But in the chicane specifically, there is the normal kind of red and white curving that you want to hit. This blue area right here, this whole blue curving area it's 3, 4, 5 inches tall. You were shocked at the size of it when we were out there earlier. These guys use more of that. You definitely take the wheel out of here.
I walked the track yesterday afternoon when NASCAR made the track available to crew chiefs and engineers and the drivers, and it was fascinating. I was shocked at the size of those. They're metal. DJ, it's very prohibitive to go offline. You can use them, as you saw cars doing there, to their advantage, to shortcut a little bit, skip, you kind of bounce the car across them. But if you get it at the wrong, if you're maybe trying to execute a pass, and you're going to leave the racing surface and you hit one of those, you're going to get some air.
Yeah, the most importance is that you have an angle. If you happen to be side by side or someone that you're trying to keep behind, you're going to open up a big door there, and the possibilities are endless as to what could happen then.
My first take on this track, it's a blend of speedway, road course, and street course. It's challenging.
Just about 12 and a half minutes to go in the first 20-minute session for Group A. Obviously, Group B cars will hit the racetrack next, and then each of these two groups will get yet another 20 minutes. Again, because of the changes to this racetrack for the Roval this weekend compared to years past. Our defending winner of this race, AJ Allmendinger, currently tops the speed charts in practice, and by quite a wide margin between first and second. His fastest lap on his first lap, when he had gone out onto the racetrack, is 2/10 quicker than second place Carson Hocevar. Sitting in third is Tyler Reddick, Chase Elliott fourth, Bubba Wallace in fifth, Joey Logano sixth, Ryan Blaney seventh, Noah Gragson in eighth, Christopher Bell ninth, and Harrison Burton is in 10th. 11th place is Ross Chastain, Austin Dillon in 12th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 13th, Martin Truex Jr. 14th, and Denny Hamlin 15th. 16th for Corey LaJoie, Josh Berry 17th, Ryan Preece 18th, and Josh Bilicki, the only open entry in this group, is in 19th. So 38 cars, I believe, at the track this weekend. And again, Bilicki in the 66 for MBM, the only open entry. More than a few seconds off per lap compared to the next closest driver to him, Ryan Preece, in the current running order. Christopher Bell has led for 5 laps, or ran 5 laps, most of any driver so far. I believe he was some of the first cars to hit the track. Chase Elliott right up there with him as well at 5 laps, ran as well Ryan Blaney. So some of those playoff drivers trying to get as many laps as possible in, and may just run one long continuous run in this first session. If they don't do it in this session, I'm sure they will do it in session 2. Each of these teams get a separate set of tires for each group. So you get one set of tires per group for each of these 2 sessions. Again, 20 minutes. Switching it currently, IMSA finale. I had no clue that was going on today. I don't really watch many IMSA races. Really, the Rolex 24 Daytona, the only one I could actually watch, considering that most of them going on during NASCAR events on the race weekends and doing these live commentary streams on that side of things. At least with the Rolex 24, it's in January. There's no NASCAR going on at that time, so it makes it more feasible for me to watch it. But hopefully they got a good show going on over there today. So I'd imagine as this track grips up and rubber gets laid down, The Xfinity Series did have full practice and qualifying before the Cup Series took their turn here this afternoon. Xfinity Series was on the track in the morning, so there is rubber laid down on the track already. So I don't think you're going to see much of a difference in lap time between Group A and Group B in this first session. I think they're going to be relatively close.
Stream Peacock's terrifying new series, Teacup, where neighbors confront a mysterious, deadly threat. Teacup is streaming now only on Peacock. Not sure if Teacup sounds scary, but the image looks scary. Scared me. Frightening. Take you back and show you something that you're going to see a whole lot of later this afternoon in Xfinity Series racing, tomorrow in the Cup race.
Yeah, sorry, DJ, 5 to 6 or 6 to 7. We're going to see this a lot.
Yeah, and I think what we've seen is the drivers that are trying to make speed are staying out to what is the driver's right. But this is going to be the passing opportunity we talk about. And probably going to see contact there, and then drivers from behind seeing this happen, or area, and then you can just shut them off completely.
That was Carson Hocevar letting Ryan Priest know that he wasn't too thrilled with the previous try on that. But we're going to see that a lot. And in the first shot that we showed you, Jeff Burton brought that up earlier today off air, that he said, DJ, it's so wide down there that the guy on the outside is not necessarily done. Right? You might try and make that move on the inside, but it's so wide there that you, out of 7, that you may still have a chance to stay in the gas and keep your position.
Yeah, that's the main thing, is if you keep it, you've got a pass made, then all of a sudden you're too wide, and then that sets up an opportunity for a pass from behind, possibly, Steve.
Well, yeah, because the faster line, as we've seen, is to stay way over here and make this a big circle, right, to get the exit. But when you come out of this corner, if you just want to, like, literally straight line it to the bottom and then try to make the corner, you might not have the best speed leaving turn 7, but if I can shut you off, there you go. Sean wants to make my drawing better. So watch this car right here, right? So this is the better line. It's over here because it makes this really round, and you get the most speed exiting that way. But if you come off this corner and you just go straight to the curving here, you basically are just, it's like a block in football. I take away the bottom lane. The question is, when you're that car on the outside, if you just abort and carry the exit speed, you're either going to have more momentum on corner exit, or maybe get run into the wall. We have yet to see exactly how they're going to figure it out.
We're more than halfway through this first portion of 20 minutes of practice. Then we'll go to the next group. They'll get 20 as well, and we continue practice leading into qualifying. Where's Bubba? He's top 5 on speed at the moment. He's completed 7 laps on his 8th. AJ Allmendinger sets the pace on the timing stand on the speed chart on your screen. The drivers underlined in yellow are, of course, playoff drivers, but 12 as of today, and tomorrow become 8 tomorrow afternoon, early evening.
And Chief Barker looking on. I believe 2311 had a very organized plan to this because Bubba Wallace went right out on the rear bumper of the 45. But I do give some credit to Tyler. I give a lot to Bubba's in his effort and his work ethic. But give some to Tyler Reddick. He has just a raw space speed in that 45 car, and I think letting somebody chase, you kind of have a better. It's one thing to see data, but when you watch the car in front of you get smaller in certain areas, you know that's where you have to improve.
So from one Toyota to another, from the 23 of Bubba Wallace to the 11 of Denny Hamlin. Here he is here in the Sport Clips Toyota Camry, and Denny is back in 15th. That's unusual.
Yeah, there's just been nothing smooth about the last 6 weeks at least for this driver and team. I was amazed whenever I looked at the finish and the amount of points that he is ahead after Talladega, because he had a couple of chances to make some opportunities work out to get some stage points in stage 1 and 2. Didn't take advantage of that. Got involved in a few of the dust-ups there. Somehow made it through the big wreck and was able to get a top 10 finish out of that. So I guess there is a such thing, smoke and mirrors, and you can have good things happen.
He told me that it was never a better race to be a half lap behind than coming up to Talladega last week.
So the lead playoff driver in this practice session just so happens to be a 2-time winner here. Chase Elliott sits 3rd at the moment.
Just under 5 minutes remaining now, and still at the top of the speed charts. We haven't seen anybody else really run their fastest laps since lap 6 of the run, which was for Ricky Stenhouse Jr. And then, as of right now, he has led, or ran, I should say, 9 laps. Some working on their 10th. Elliott, Reddick, Wallace, Christopher Bell, Logano, Blaney, they're all on their 10th lap. Couple others also. AJ Allmendinger still only ran 6. I don't think he is currently out on the racetrack. Obviously, we'll see him out again when the second 20-minute session begins. Might even get a couple more laps in for maybe a qualifying time trial run here before the end of this session as well. Again, each of these two groups get two 20-minute sessions today. Group B and their first 20-minute session will be next, and then we'll alternate back to Group A again following that 20 minutes. Qualifying will be session qualifying again, as we usually see on road courses. We've seen that for about a decade now or so on the road course side of things, so that will be a timed trial, and of course, that will not be in groups, as all 40 cars will be. Right? See, now I'm confused. We have so many qualifying criterias that... Trying to think back to Watkins Glen. I don't think they were separated by groups. I think you just had 15 minutes to try to set a quick time. I don't think there was group play involved in that. I think they took the top 10. There could be groups in practice. I'll look that up while they are talking about more stuff going on during practice on the other side of the current full screen commercial break. Of course, taking place on the USA Network. So practice qualifying on the USA Network going on right now. The race tomorrow is on NBC, and the Xfinity race later today will be on the CW. We'll have live commentary streams for all of that. And then obviously going into the following races to end the season. Just 4 more Cup dates left after this weekend. We've got the round of 12 finale tomorrow afternoon. Our coverage will begin at 1:30 p.m. Eastern time, and then at 4 p.m. Eastern time later today will be the Xfinity Series race coverage. As that race will be extended just a little bit from years past. I believe 67 laps scheduled distance for today's Xfinity race, and before it was 55.
Points changed at Talladega. Let's look at the race. Entering pretty simple after stage 1. You see a little bit of movement after stage 2. Chase Elliott starting to climb up a little bit. This is before the big one. I want to pause here. 4 laps to go in the race. Cindric leading. He's at the top. Denny Hamlin and Ryan Blaney losing points, both involved in accidents. Then 28 cars wrecked on the backstretch. We go into overtime. What does that do? Well, now poor Cindric next to last, all the way down there at 11th. Hamlin and Blaney, the big winners, if anybody can win in an accident, just because they weren't involved. Blaney was already out of the race. Hamlin was a half a lap behind, so they end up moving up because so many other guys lost points.
What's the moral of the story, DJ?
Well, sometimes when you're sitting in your motorhome and watching the end of a race and you're feeling really bad for what happened, something can happen, and all of a sudden you feel great. You get in your plane and you go home.
There's sometimes you should be wishing that you're going to make the putt. Then there's other times you wish that your opponent misses. That was Blaney. He was hoping all his opponents messed it up.
Good point.
Let's talk more about this man here, the reigning series champion, Kim.
Ryan Blaney, great stats when it comes to this course. He has a win here at 4 top 10. So check in with the team, as they said, plus 25 headed into this elimination race. And crew chief Jonathan Hassler said they feel like the goal is a 25-point day. Now, obviously, that they want more than that tomorrow, but they feel like that would solidly move them on. He actually said as low as 13 points, depending on what other teams do, could transfer them to the next round. The plan, though, they want to do a long run here in this practice session. The next session they're going to do a mock Q run. But Steve, as we talk about long runs on the Roval, how different is that setting up your race car for a long run at a course like this versus when we're on an oval?
Well, so I tell you, Kim, normally in practice, you don't get enough time to make a long run on a road course. So at the oval, normally it's a distinct balance shift, normally to the front. The longer it's heat up, normally you get a little tight. There's a few exceptions, some tracks where the back goes away. Here at the Roval, a little bit of it is rear traction because the rear tires go away, but DJ, some of it is driver ability. You can start to shift a little different. You can adjust the brake bias. So I know the car balance is going to shift, but can you also tell me, like, hey, I'm going to have to handle this, or maybe this one corner, or maybe this area of the racetrack is where we lose versus our competitors?
Yeah, and this is my opinion. Look, it hasn't been the speed. They've had speed. The driver does a great job. I think there's 2 things. You hate to put things on luck, but this team has had some really bad luck. Some of it, though, coming from a poor qualifying effort. That has to be their biggest thing on their mind today is getting in a solid qualifying lap.
And so much so that they're going to make a marker up, right? So they're going to let Blaney have a shot at how to attack a racetrack that has a lot of very scary corners to overdrive.
And that's what that second block of practice is going to do. That's the end of Group 1, Practice 1. More is coming up. Group 2 will get their first shot at it. And this is all funneling down, leading us to qualifying for the Bank of America Roval 400.
Again, qualifying definitely going to be an important watch here today. With it being a road course, not going to see as much passing during the course of the race tomorrow. The opportunities, especially mid-pack, to be able to do so. So these playoff drivers to capitalize on their stage 1 points, really, if you qualify up towards the front of the field, is going to be huge. There's going to be a lot of playoff drivers that are going to be scoring stage points in both stages because they're going to stay out, try to get as many points as they can. And a lot of the non-playoff drivers are going to pit before the end of the stage to try to cycle them into the best position when stage 3 starts and try to get the race win. As far as our leaderboard goes, it looks like it is rotated over to Group B entirely. Usually they will mix in the practice times on our raw feed with Group A and Group B, but for some reason not doing that here. So as you see on the screen, the 19 drivers that will go out for Group B will be Shane Van Gisbergen, Kaz Gralla, Daniel Hemrick, Michael McDowell, John Hunter Nemechek, Todd Gillen, Zane Smith, Kyle Busch, Justin Haley, Chris Buescher, Eric Jones, Ty Gibbs, Brad Keselowski, Austin Cindric, and Chase Briscoe, Daniel Suarez, Alex Bowman, Kyle Larson, and William Byron. SVG, the only other car in this field this weekend outside of Josh Bilicki that is an open entry. And that will be the 13 car this weekend for Kaulig Racing that Shane Van Gisbergen is driving. And we usually see SVG in the 16 and AJ Allmendinger in the 13. But I wonder with AJ winning in that 16 car here last year had a lot to do with that decision, as well as the fact that he will be running full-time at Cup with that group again this year. It looks like our raw feed did go back to our traditional format there. So we had the list of the Group B drivers. Now it looks like they're going to mix them in. I was going to say, usually they just mix the practice times in and we can see our overall leaderboard, which I like. Yeah, they're definitely doing that now. So a little bit of an edit, as you see live on our screen. Again, appreciate everybody tuning in here this afternoon for Cup Series practice and qualifying at the Charlotte Roval. Some shout-outs to those of you that have been watching that I see down in the chat below. Got Emo Gene Blevins, Frank Powers, Jackson Robinson. Thanks for tuning in. Tigers game on TBS. Yeah, unfortunately they moved the start time up yesterday, and I didn't know about that till I woke up this morning. I happened to just check the go on the ESPN app and look at the potential starting lineup for today, and I saw that the for one, the lineups weren't posted yet at that time, which I kind of figured usually it's like 3 to 4 hours before the game. But I went and I checked, and I'm like, 1 o'clock? That's weird. I thought it was supposed to be at 4:30. I thought there was a chance I could catch the last 6 or 7, or not 6 or 7 inning, but the 6th, 7th inning onward in the game, about the last 3 or 4 innings, and then more if it goes to extras, obviously. After the Xfinity Series race, that's not going to be the case anymore, unfortunately. I'm going to miss most of that game with practice and qualifying obviously going on right now as originally scheduled to stream. I'll be able to catch maybe an hour or so of the game from that 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock Eastern time zone window, because then we go live obviously for the Xfinity Series race at 4. Hopefully I catch the end of the game at that time. That's what I'm hoping for. If it's a low-scoring defensive game like it could be with Scooble on the mound, I think that it couldn't be over before 4, and at least I get to see if my Tigers advance or not.
And with the changes made at this track, the driver getting themselves acclimated. I know they've been in the sim a lot this week and getting that, but when you really get on the track and in these cars, you see exactly what you can and can't do, and then going on making a long run. See, okay, I'm getting better here, but this is what we're going to need to do to the car.
I'm interested to hear what the driver's feedback is and just general thought about the adjustments. Because sim is one thing, but being on the track for real is another. Yes, we are green here in Charlotte.
That's hilarious.
That to me is another fascinating point of this track. Out of turn one, up and over that crest, the concrete line is it's very much like a street course, dipping down around to the left, changing camber.
Well, we talk a lot about it from a competitive standpoint, but one thing that I don't think gets circled enough is from a race fan standpoint. I know Daytona is very similar. This one's named the Roval. Daytona has the same layout inside the infield. It's a much larger facility. But if you want to see a NASCAR road course, and really any road course other than Daytona, if you see more than probably anyone, you buy one seat here and you see the entire track.
Yeah.
And there's not many places. Like up here at the TV booth, we can see the whole track. If you buy a seat in the grandstands, you can see the whole facility. That's just, Marcus Smith and his group kind of forward thinking of delivering an opportunity to the race fan.
Believe it or not, once we did with the Grandad Rolex Sports Car Series, we did a road course. We did a Roval race at Iowa Speedway. Cup race there for the first time this year. You know how small that is? We did a road course at Iowa.
Wow.
Many years ago. That was pretty interesting.
I told you he's seen it all.
He has.
I tell you, I can watch cars come through the front stretch chicane. You just watch the front stretch and watch the variety of cars, just how they come through. Here are three, right? A little bit of curve, more curve for Suarez, huge amount of curve for Brad. That front stretch chicane, there's so much speed to be gained there. But if you hit it wrong, the left-hander becomes a big issue. As Kyle Busch makes it look pretty easy. Haley,
Ty Gibbs.
All right, so if we stay like on this shot right here for just a minute, and we talk about inbounds, out of bounds. So right here, if your right side tires get here, so if your rights are here and your lefts are here, and nothing is touching this part of the curve, that's missing the chicane. That will be a penalty. So if you hit the first one incorrect,
What's a penalty going to be? A pass through?
it'll be you have an opportunity to stop. So if you come out and show there's a place to stop on the front stretch right here, driver's left at the start finish line is Gibbs. It's going to show us the back stretch chicane as well. So you can stop over here where it says Charlotte.
Yep.
You can come over there. Or if we go back to Gibbs going to the back stretch, if you blow that one, then you get to stop drivers. Right. So over here on the left side of our screen, you could stop as well. So 2 penalty boxes.
So like the Glen.
Like the Glen.
Right.
And if you miss the back stretch, you could stop on the front. And so you'd stop over here to miss it, which is kind of where you end up anyway. And I like that because you lose about 25 seconds doing a pass through. If you do it very efficient, penalty pay, stopping, knowing you have to stop and get going, you lose less time than that. But you only have a lap to figure it out. You can't ride around 4 or 5 to see it out. It's a penalty. And I like that because NASCAR is basically saying, DJ, you self-police. If you think you've missed it, serve the penalty. We're going to go back and watch a video, and if we think we missed it, you'll have to do a pass-through if you run another lap. So as a spotter, I think it's way easier here on the front than the back. But the front stretch, I would just say, I don't like it, Dale, but I think you missed it. We have to stop, serve the penalty, and move on.
Yeah, and something else that could come into play today is NASCAR officiating as we get here to turn 16. If a driver forces someone off, which would be to the driver's left, so who is in fault there? You have the opportunity all the way to the back straightaway.
Right, but you just hope NASCAR makes a call by the back stretch. It's going to be interesting. This is the same conversation when we go to Daytona and Talladega. Did you force people over there a lot, or do I go there on my own?
Yeah.
14 and a half minutes left in Group 2, their first block of practice. When we come back, we can ask DJ how he would have raced here at the Roval.
Alrighty, so I was going to actually look up what the track record was on the original Charlotte Roval and see how much that could potentially get beaten or not beaten today with the changes to the racetrack. I would imagine with the change to turns 5, 6, and 7, it seems like a faster area of the track. I would imagine that the speeds are up at the Roval compared to what we would usually see. That creates a passing opportunity down in turn 7 for sure. More of a passing opportunity than what we would have seen in turns 6 and 7 before. But I don't know. I don't know that we're going to really have that many more passes in general. Again, this car doesn't really create a lot. If anything, that part of the racetrack really reminds me of turns 2 through turn 5 at the Chicago street course race. That layout is pretty much about the same. I always thought that this was NASCAR's version of a street course when it was introduced back in 2018. It races like a street course. I think you'll see SVG have some really fast times this weekend. Obviously, we know how good he is there. Larson ran well earlier this year before getting involved in an incident at Chicago Street Race, and we've seen him win here before, so I think a little bit later today. AJ Allmendinger, another one, had street course racing background at times in his open wheel days, and here he is out at the top of the speed charts. He obviously is the defending winner of this race of the Cup Series, and he's never lost an Xfinity Series race here. He's 4 for 4 in the Xfinity Series. We'll see if he can go 5 for 5 and stay undefeated today. He has not won yet this season. SVG's won on 3 road courses, so that'll be a good heavyweight battle in that one, as well as tomorrow. We may see it on both ends of the spectrum, especially with them by the time stage 3 begins. SVG was obviously in the running for the win at Watkins Glen in that similar strategy race in the first round of the playoffs last month. Leading on the final lap, got passed after a mistake heading into the bus stop for the final time, clipped the guardrail on corner entry, and was passed by Chris Buescher, who ended up getting his first win of the season. Speaking of Buescher, we're seeing him pretty far back in the running order right now, 21st in practice, excuse me. Now he's dropped to 22nd. It looks like Ty Gibbs is now 21st. So a little bit of a change on the leaderboard as we're pretty late into this first 20 minutes for Group B.
Kyle Larson, the HendrickCars.com Chevy with home base basically right here, kind of racing in Hendrick Motorsports' backyard. There's his crew chief looking on. What's going to be the combination? How are they feeling? They've got a little bit more of a cushion after last week. Cliff Daniels made some good calls. There was a little bit of luck there as well. So too for William Byron. But finally, something changed for the 5. They weren't in the wrong place at the wrong time, like Kyle said, at drafting tracks. And one came their way last weekend. Let's have a listen to some recent radio.
I have no goal for run 7. Coming down the hill for first 6. About 1 Carling wire in the red. Area looking to help is wider between 3 and 4. We're shooting off of 4, and we can still work out 6 4.
That's exit of 6 and into 7 right there.
Parking a little wide, would have tackled the road. And would you have liked to have raced him?
I think it would have been a nice challenge. I'm going to go to Larson first. That one thing, I came along at the right time.
Yeah.
My crew chief and spotter didn't have the ability to give me so much information. I didn't want to hear a lot of that stuff. I could see a lot of it, and it just wasn't my style. But you asked me. Lee, I'll put it like this. With every corner past 4, so that means we have 13 more corners here. Gave me just another opportunity to lose more time. Just more places to run off. It would have been a challenge. I mean, what they're doing here is fascinating. I think I would have embraced that, but the difficulty level of this, especially with it being a cutoff race, is just incredible. People ask me all the time that who came up with this schedule. I said, I don't know exactly, but you can be rest assured it wasn't a driver.
Just under 10 minutes to go. Austin Cindric leads the way on time. William Byron, who's locked in already, his teammate at Hendrick Motorsports. Boy, oh boy, what a playoffs it has been for this man here. Alex Bowman answering the call. More stage points earned in the postseason, and he's earned more points than anybody in the playoffs as well. It has been a rock-solid performance.
That's been the key to the 48 playoffs, and I think that's the key to their Roval. 26 points above is comfortable. It is not safe. You absolutely can be eliminated. You can lose 26 points, but DJ qualify inside the top 10. I don't mean winning stages. Run 5th, 6th in both stages, and you score yourself 6 or 8 total points. Now you have made the task of catching you very difficult for somebody below the cut line. So I really think, though, the entire playoff field's thinking the same thing. Qualify well and run well in those stages.
Yeah, I think one thing is on that to his advantage, as you pointed out, that very well, that stages, right strategies have been a big part of this, putting the driver in the good situations. But you have to look at the people that are behind him that have to be jumped over first, or to have others that have to have an even better day to move themselves ahead of him. So I think they're in a great position. They seem to be managing these races really well. Driver making really good decisions most of the time.
And that strategy and that play for the 48 team has worked when you get the non-playoff race winners, right?
Yeah.
He's gathering those stage points. He's maximizing everything.
Was that your SVG lead, the non-playoff race winners, serving up that to be SVG?
That was an accidental cut. Got to talk to Sean Owens, our director. That was.
Well, I will say
he was one step ahead of us. as always.
I mean, he was at the top of everyone's mind. Remember, so close at Watkins Glen, Chris Buescher, another non-playoff driver, ended up besting against AJ plus stop, and it was a great final lap. It's going to be fun to watch because I think he is comfortable with full contact, comfortable with this proximity. I know this isn't a street course, but you think of how good he is at Chicago. The Cup guys are going to have a little more advantage here because they've seen this place multiple times, but this infield, especially this section right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, has a street course full contact.
Yep.
Yeah, if you were paying attention right there as he entered and positioned himself for 16 and then to get the exit off of 17 coming to the start finish line, how much he get Daniel him in that car. You know, watched him in the Xfinity car earlier today, and he there were at least 3 times that he overdrove a couple of corners. He was finding the limits before he ever went and put down the fast laps that he made. He was really comfortable in doing that and finding that. And then when it came time to go in the pole, he did exactly that, Kim.
Yeah, and you mentioned Daniel Hemrick behind Shane Van Gisbergen. They told Shane, Daniel's trying to follow you to learn. We saw this also.
They ain't following him anymore.
Chicago street course. So DJ, what can you learn in the shadows
Gapped him.
that you know is going to be very good at a racetrack?
Yeah, well, first off, you better learn quickly because he's going to become a small object. He's just so good at it. But what you see are how he sets himself up for the entries to these corners, because one thing that SVG is better than a lot of people is making that exit, getting his car positioned to where he can make the speed, leaving these corners. That he can be forceful in racing and getting into the corner and taking your spot. But where he makes his speed is setting up and getting on the exit of these corners. That someone like Daniel Hemrick can see that he's not overdriving, getting there. He's getting position, and then he makes his speed on the next.
And it's a very unfamiliar field this weekend for Shane because it's the Bathurst 1000 in Australia. First time that he has missed it while he's been overseas. It feels different for him.
Alrighty, so top of the speed charts is still AJ Allmendinger. He was in Group A of practice. Group B leaders would be Austin Cindric, William Byron, Shane Van Gisbergen, and Kyle Larson are the top 4. They're currently 2nd, 3rd, 5th, and 7th. Overall, we'll go through the full field running order through practice. Every car has hit the racetrack for quite a few laps now, as we're getting close to the end of the second 20 minutes. The first of 2 20-minute sessions for Group B. Again, each Group A and Group B will have a second 20-minute session following this before we get into qualifying a little bit later. AJ Allmendinger is out ahead. His fast lap was an 85.791. That is an average speed of 97.703 miles per hour. And that lap time a little over a tenth quicker than that of Austin Cindric, who leads Group 2. Group B, I should say, technically. And he is in position number 2 as of right now overall. William Byron is 3rd. Carson Hocevar 4th. Shane Van Gisbergen 5th. Chase Elliott 6th. Kyle Larson in 7th. Tyler Reddick in 8th, Kyle Busch 9th, and Bubba Wallace 10th. Christopher Bell in 11th, Joey Logano 12th, Ryan Blaney 13th, 14th for Alex Bowman, Zane Smith 15th, Daniel Suarez 16th, 17th for Noah Gragson, Martin Truex Jr. 18th, Brad Keselowski 19th, and Harrison Burton in 20th. 21st, Ross Chastain, Ty Gibbs 22nd, Chris Buescher 23rd, Austin Dillon 24th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 25th, Denny Hamlin 26th, Corey LaJoie 27th, Michael McDowell 28th, Chase Briscoe 29th, and Todd Gilliland 30th. Justin Haley 31st, 32nd for Eric Jones, Josh Berry 33rd, Jonathan Nemechek 34th, Kaz Grala 35th, Daniel Hemrick 36th, Ryan Preece 37th, and Josh Bilicki in 38th. That rounds out our field of 38 cars that will start tomorrow's race. Nobody going home this weekend. Only race that we have had more than 40 entrances for the Cup Series races was Daytona at the start of the year. And slightly short of a full field here this weekend with 2 open entries out of a possible 4. Michael Turner and Larry Mack, thanks for tuning into the stream. Not the Larry Mack, but a Larry Mack. Appreciate everybody that tunes in, watches these live commentary streams every weekend. We'll take our first ad break. Continue our live commentary coverage of Bank of America Roval 400 practice on KRC.
It's in your Charlotte on NBC.
Just a few minutes left in this first block of over again here at Charlotte Motor Speedway's Roval. This is one of the playoff drivers. This is Chase Briscoe. who this week became a dad of 3. Yes, already. He and wife Marissa were parents, but then the twins, they finally arrived and were welcomed into the world. We say hello to Cooper and Collins and wish the Briscoes all the best. Dad's got to go back to work, and here he is in the Ford Performance Racing School design car. Let's talk more about this guy. It's a massive weekend, not just becoming a dad of 3, Kim, but he's got some work to do. He is in last place in the playoffs. He needs some of that Darlington magic again.
Yeah, looking for magic this weekend, but you mentioned the birth of his twins, so he was kind of out of the shop this week. Joey Hand stepping in, did all their development stuff that Chase would normally do during a race work, and Joey Hand is a road course ace. He's been with this team all this year trying to make their road course program better. He was there at Watkins Glen coaching Chase. He's actually not here this weekend because he's over at Road Atlanta for the Petit Le Mans. But as we talk about this team, what they're trying to accomplish moving into the round of 8, they're the only SHR car that is currently in the playoffs. And that works in their favor because I talked to crew chief Richard Boswell before this practice. He said, look, we've got all 3 teammates in Group A. They can get us information. And oh, by the way, Noah Gregson in the 10 has an identical setup to Chase Briscoe. And then Josh Berry, his other teammate, is running what Richard called their option B setup to get as much information to get him set up for hopefully a successful tomorrow and trying moving on in the playoffs.
Tough setups watching this car go around the racetrack, and I'm sure Richard Boswell is watching as well. The back just doesn't look controlled enough. I mean, it's very soft in the back, very squishy. It kind of rolls and slides. Even right there in the braking, you see the back movement. You watch Chase trying to hustle the car through the chicane. It just seems like it's rear limited. And not that it's so stiff and sliding, but it's actually so compliant that it kind of rolls and tumbles and wiggles and moves, and it just doesn't really look flocked to the racetrack. Now, look, 25 laps on tires. Maybe the rear tires are holding on longer, and it's a long-run theory, but the back of the car looks like it doesn't have a lot of control, at least for my taste. Compared to this, too, it just seems like the back of this car, I don't know. I mean, I know it's small, the nuance is small, but the back of this car, even though it looks like it's down vertically, it seems to be more controlled platform as far as body roll. And even right there, leaning on the left rear, it's not walking out as much.
By the way, you may have noticed the pink window nets, and that is the Drivers and Teasing National Breast Cancer Awareness Month. The NASCAR playoff drivers showing that support. So if you're wondering why is that pink, I was chatting to one of the fans on the track walk yesterday. He had dyed his beard, and it was a pretty big beard. He dyed his beard big.
That's commitment there.
Yeah,
That is commitment.
exactly. So practice coming to a close, but we're only really halfway through. DJ, thanks for hanging out with us for a bit.
Sure thing.
Jim Burton is on his way.
Liberty Mutual Customer.
All right, so I was just looking at the track history here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway for what the fastest lap times are with the next-gen car in specifics. So 86.661 in year 1, which would have been 2022. 2023 and 81.596 was the fastest lap that we saw in qualifying. So, that being said, the speeds are significantly quicker as we get through today, and these drivers get more and more laps to themselves, so we might see that leaderboard change quite a bit into round 2 of qualifying, and obviously setup changes, because we don't really know setup-wise exactly how these cars were going to handle going through there, so chance for these teams to make those adjustments during this break period that we have. Each of the two 20-minute sessions for round 1 have been concluded for Group A and Group B. Each of these two groups will go back out for one more 20-minute session as we conclude practice after that, and then lead our way into qualifying all right here on this same stream. The overall track record is a 75.499, which would have been with the Gen 6 car, and that was back in 2019, which I believe would have been the 750 high downforce rules package at that point in time with the next gen, or obviously not the next gen, with the Gen 6 car at that time period. And then they went back with the low downforce 750 horsepower package from 2022 onward through 2021, and obviously now onto the next gen. Year number 7. Here this season at the Charlotte Roval. Only one repeat winner, which was Chase Elliott, who won the 2018 and 2019 running of this race. And every former winner of the Charlotte Roval Cup Series race is also in the field this weekend. So 5 different winners so far. Coincidentally enough, that 4 of those drivers are currently in the playoffs. Ryan Blaney, Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, and Christopher Bell. Can they get a win to punch their ticket into the next round? Most of those cases, they don't even need a win to make it into the next round. Currently double-digit points gap between 8th and 9th on the cutoff spot. And everybody that is sitting from 10th on back, the 10th or 12th place drivers of the point standings are over 20 points below the cut line, so they're going to have to make up a lot more. Odds are going to be stacked against them this weekend to jump above, but we'll see if any of them could get it done.
Just 40 minutes of practice in total. 2 lots of 20 minutes each group. Here are the combined speeds and times, with AJ Armendinger being the quickest from Group A. Zane Smith with a quali run in Group B. There's the speeds and the times as we now go back into practice mode, back to Group A, and continue this work. How's your favorite driver looking? How's Christopher Bell looking if you're a Christopher Bell fan? He's well placed in the playoffs as we welcome Jeff Burton back into the booth. DJ steps out for a bit. Jeff, what did you take from Xfinity practice qualifying? What did you like that you saw in the first phase of practice here in Cup?
I think everybody's trying to figure out, how to navigate the new 6-7 complex and also this front straightaway chicane. And kind of everybody's come to the same conclusion. It looks like it's best for turn 6 and 7 to stay against the right side of the road all the way around 6 to set yourself up 7. It's going to work great today all by yourself, but I think tomorrow in the race we're going to see a lot different ideas about how to pass and how to keep from being passed.
All right, let's go for a ride. Have a listen. Let's do a full lap. Davey, there's a full lap. Part of that run with Tyler Reddick sounded so smooth enough to go to P1 for the time being, but now he's pushed back to P3. And there were other aspects of the lap that sounded quite agricultural.
Yeah, for sure. And we talk a lot about the combination of the racetrack and what it looks like from the infield to the banking. Well, one thing is that the crew chiefs are going to have to adapt their race car. So if you want the car to have grip through this slower, slippery infield section where Reddick is right here, then when you come out of turn 7 right here and you climb the banking, there's a pretty high chance the back of this car is going to be sitting solid on the rear shock stops right here through the banking. There's really no suspension. So you wouldn't run it like that if you were only running the oval, but to have the grip everywhere else, you have to give up that compliance when you get on the high bank.
Through goes Harrison Burton. What happens to Josh Berry here?
Whoa. Yeah, that's a front chicane. He didn't get lined up on those curves very well. When he hit them, he was kind of trying to turn the car and it just spun him out. Those blue turtles, they're huge. You hit those things, it just knocks your car up in the air.
you wonder if the car can take it all day long, right? I mean, the next gen car has been very durable, but that's pretty violent. You just think you got to do it every lap.
You know what a flying green turtle is? You know, like those kids' luge you can sit in, adults can sit in, so it's kind of like a street luge.
I know, but it sounds like I don't want to know what it is.
It's pretty fun. So when I lived here in Charlotte, there was a group of us who used to race those at night time. That was pretty fun. But we could call these the flying blue turtles.
Like, there's flying cars and blue turtles for sure.
That's true.
Austin Dillon, 123.4, 1 lap and done, or 2 laps actually. I would say that was a qualifying run, would be my assessment.
AJ Allmendinger sits second. Bubba Wallace had a pretty decent first block of practice. He sits in the top 5. That's exactly where he finished up at the end of the first 20-minute period. Got 14 and a half minutes left here. And Bubba's been pretty nice and consistent. So 23 and 11. The two teammates off to a good start here in Charlotte for the Roval weekend.
So our second session of practice has begun with the Group A drivers. Same group, obviously, from Group A in the first session, and we will see another 20 minutes for Group B to follow this group. So 2 separate practice sessions, and as of right now, we see Austin Dillon with the fastest time overall. An 83.463 is a lap that Dillon put down. That is an average speed of a 98.343 mile per hour lap. And he is ahead of AJ Allmendinger. Allmendinger was fastest overall in Group A. And here in Group A, he is second as of right now. Each of these teams gets a second set of tires, obviously, for this second session. I would imagine massive adjustments were made from the first time out on the racetrack. Don't get too many of these 220-minute sessions this season. We've had a couple of them. We've also had a couple of elongated practices due to rain, as well as full practice sessions for the return of Indianapolis, for instance, on the oval earlier this year. Sonoma had a full practice session as well after their repave. Iowa new to the schedule for the Cup Series, so we've seen elongated practices this season at times. And I believe this is the final time that we will see that this year. Unless they decide to do it for Phoenix as well, with that being the championship race, which they have done in years past. But definitely going to be the final for the next few weeks. All the round of 8 tracks returning in the same order that they were in last season. Las Vegas being the round of 8 opener. And we will follow that up with Homestead Miami Speedway, another 1.5 miles before the short track in Martinsville. So we'll see. Currently, your top 10 in this group is Austin Dillon in first, AJ Allmendinger second, Carson Hocevar third, Bubba Wallace fourth, Chase Elliott fifth, Tyler Reddick sixth, Ross Chastain seventh, Martin Truex Jr. eighth, Christopher Bell ninth, and Denny Hamlin in 10th. It's like Hamlin's picked up quite a bit from where he was in Group A's first session. He was towards the bottom of those drivers, and I think he was around 26th overall between the two groups that went out on the track. One of the slowest of the playoff drivers, if not the slowest.
This weekend here in the Queen City, a reminder that NASCAR Countdown Live on CW is the lead up to Xfinity Series racing, and the playoffs continue in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. You'll see that live 4 Eastern on the CW. Tomorrow we'll have Countdown to Green at 2 on Net 12. It's an elimination race, 2:30 Eastern on NBC.
They're riding along right here with Joey Logano. Joey Logano is 13 points behind the cut line. He's got to have a good day tomorrow if he's going to advance into the playoffs. His teammate Austin Cindric, I think, has one of the very best cars at the Roval this weekend. But it looks like Logano or Blaney have the pace that the 2 car has at this point.
All right, somebody who would like a little more pace, some recent radio.
Good bit off here, man. I feel like we're way off here. Lanky collateral, if you like the lap there, man. Way too much. Well, if you're going to make a change, and it's really not just the other guy, just probably still the 5 in the sky right there. I don't like that. Just when you're running behind me, kind of running me down.
A debate on just how good
you are pace-wise. Doesn't sound like AJ loves the way it drives. Now, if you're you truly are, if you feel like you are the fastest car, then I'm okay if it doesn't drive good. But I have to agree with AJ. I think he's good, but I don't know if he's the standout best car here.
Well, their standards are what?
Yeah, that's a win.
They're not looking to run field.
45, fun, into the 17.
The red's out. The red is out here at the Roval.
I turn it over backwards, like 4 or 5 seconds.
Tyler Reddick trying to get the 45 Monster Toyota rolling and running again. Let's have a look at what happened.
I bet there's some turtles involved. Oh, I stand corrected. I actually think that was just free in the back. It didn't look like he hit a very hard jump.
Right there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think put a combination.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
If you hit those and the car is starting to come around, then it's loose and you hit them and it just knocks you completely loose. So, a combination of those two things. And this is one thing that teams are terrified of, right? You could spin out, kill them, and really just have a simple spin, but your car not refire.
Yeah, and as you hear Tyler Reddick trying to refire, before that they had told him to stay off the curb as much as you can because it's better for us in our lap time. And then before that spin out, crew chief Billy Scott had said, we're losing some on the front chicane on our turn in. So I don't know if it's a product trying to get more after that feedback from Billy or what.
And I think what you see all the drivers using the curves for a reason, and it's hard to imagine if you line them up just right and you hit the curves perfectly, that going over them is going to be faster than if you don't use them, because running over them allows you to straighten those sharp corners out a little bit. And he finally gets it fired up.
Can you imagine that happening in the race? I mean, this is practice. Kind of no harm, no foul, other than losing a little bit of time. We're just a short drive from uptown Charlotte, a city that has grown enormously over the past 10, 15 years. It is bustling now. And part of the sportscape, a very important part, is Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Practice continues, but we are under caution for the first time today. Tyler Reddick spinning in the front stretch chicane after a hop off the turtle. It'll loose in as well, and his car not refiring. It stalled out on him. So he was kind of stopped there and wasn't able to move. That is the reason for the caution. Our first caution entirely of practice. No incidents to record through the first session for Group A or Group B. Right in the middle of session number 2 for Group A is where the spin took place. Tyler Reddick currently 6th on the leaderboard. His fastest lap at 84.070 in this session. Fastest lap for Austin Dillon so far at 83.643. Still the quickest, 0.3 quicker than AJ Allmendinger. I'm trying to figure out how he ran that lap, to be completely honest, and it's that much quicker than the guy who was fastest in the last group. Be interesting to see what Kyle Busch does at Group B, being a teammate of Austin Dillon, if he puts down a good lap as well. We've seen Busch have some pretty decent runs on these road courses and with this next-gen car, and with RCR included. Carson Hocevar, who was second fastest in Group A through the first session, is third fastest in Group A for this session as well. He was top 5 overall between the two groups in session number 1. And coming off a top 3 in the last road course race at Watkins Glen. So maybe some high hopes for Carson Hocevar. He's actually making passes, like legit passes, in practice on some of the slower cars. So having that ability going into the race when not a lot of drivers have had those opportunities, maybe he was able to learn something. That all took place on those multiple passing attempts through turn 7, that newer area of the racetrack after the reconfiguration to the infield section of the Roval. We'll take another break. You're listening live on KRC to Cup Series practice at the Charlotte Roval, the Bank of America Roval 400. And we'll keep covering this into qualifying as well.
Still on the seat up. He was the rest of the world catches ball.
5 minutes left in practice, and this is the last block of practice for Group A. We're on board the Sport Clips Toyota with Denny Hamlin. Here's some radio.
All right, so let's just zoom in on 3 over to 5. But let's just focus on that part of the track and tell me what you think you need there. I definitely get 2 loose. Yeah, no doubt. 2 loose right now. Be aggressive.
I love that. I love Chris Gabehart taking away some of the chaos. He's talking about, hey, I know we have a lot to work on. Let's work on from 3 over to 5, which is the infield section, the slow part of the racetrack, mostly right-handers. And Denny says it's too loose. Now that I can go to work on. I mean, it's hard to work on all 14 corners. So let's just work on something very specific. And I like the very direct feedback from Denny.
All right, so 3 and 5. Here's 1. Heavy braking zone, left-hander. Well, check out how blind turn 2 is. Right, and now it's downhill. Steve said it's downhill, right-hander. This is 3. Says he's too loose, probably underthrown. Can't carry speed through there. And now, heavy braking, a fast right-hander. So to avoid speed, right-handers, and also climbing the hill, going downhill, some elevation changes.
Yeah, really, the only left-hander to speak of is kind of turn 1 and turn 7. I mean, maybe a little bit of turn 2. 1, 2, and 7 are the big lefts.
Right-handers are important.
Yes.
And so you really have to say Chris are the majority of corners, and also the important corners leading 2 long straightaways. Look how bottom it is. Watch his head. It's rattling around inside of that head containment system when he hits those curves.
You may have noticed that race control added some time back on the clock due to that red flag. Or Tyler Reddick a little earlier. Position-wise, it's looking better for Denny Hamlin, but is that representative of how things are going to be in qualifying as he rides up and over that double strip of blue turtles? So that's the Hamlin story. Here's Chase Elliott.
This is who I have circled. I think top to bottom, when I look at multiple laps, he made about a 6 or 7 lap run to start practice. I thought the 9 had the most pace of anyone in this group consistently. There's cars that have run faster laps, but I really like what the 9 looks like. Let's ride on board and see how much work it is to run these laps.
Came to a point, right? How much effort, how hard are you pushing? Are you abusing the race car?
Only 1 downshift there. Helping to make it stay in second here. Let's see, this is 3rd, 4th, 5th, that's high. So yeah, so here in the chicane in 2nd here. This information about a car on the apron slow. You're going to see it right here to the left side.
I think it was Ryan Preece. Looked like it.
Well, what amazes me, Jim, is we'll go to the go-kart track, and we'll go race. Forget shifting, which is regular go-kart. I feel like I am fighting a swarm of bees in there. And then you watch Chase and AJ, and the guys that just are so good at this style of racing.
And it's so smooth and controlled.
So in control.
Yeah. Speaking of AJ, here he is. P3 on the speed chart at the moment, 2.5 minutes left. Is he happier with his car? Have they made any progress or advancements leading into qualifying?
I think that was 7th lap on these tires. I think it's very competitive. You see, he wasn't happy with his car, but he's right there.
Ooh.
Big left front lockup. Wow. Now that it's really interesting to me because a driver like AJ, as much experience and feel for the race car he has, he did not have the trust to lift off the brake a little bit and get the car slowed down to get
that lockup stop.
And he'll give up here. I'm sure the tire's flat spotted.
Yeah.
The race, though, you have to decide, is that a tire that requires a pit stop, or can you just continue?
But look how long that lasts.
That's about a 3 second. It's about a 3 second lockup there as we get down to the final 90 seconds of practice here. Austin Dillon heads the speed chart, then Logano, Armendinger. Carson Hocevar has had a very productive start to the weekend. The rookie is in the top 5 again.
Logano made a Q run at the end of this session to post that second fastest.
Big workload from Christopher Bell and Bubba Wallace as Blaney now jumps up. Everybody's starting to put in some Q runs to get ready for qualifying to get a prioritized grid spot for tomorrow's Bank of America Roval 400. Give yourself the best shot. Getting out and having a positive opening stage and setting up your race in positive style.
Steve Atwood, as a crew chief, did you care about making a qualifying run here, or was that just a driver thing?
I think this is purely a driver thing. I think from a crew chief standpoint, we do this week in and week out. We kind of have some questions on adjustments and air pressure. But for me, I think it's more the driver to try to understand at what marks you think you need to lift, how aggressive you need to be.
Denny Hamlin's dropped to 12. What's qualifying going to look like for him? His teammate Christopher Bell just ahead. The other playoff drivers, Reddick in 8th, Elliott in 7th, Logano on screen in 3rd, 2nd is Blaney. Clock almost at 0 after a session that was punctuated with 1 red flag due to a spin, a half spin by Tyler Reddick, and he couldn't get his car fired back up, eventually did. And that's a good Group A is set to go into qualifying. We've still got another 20 minutes of Group B practice coming up. Again, it is the final race in the round of 12. And these 3 tracks have offered a pretty interesting experience. That's for sure. Kansas, Talladega, Charlotte.
We'll take a look at those point standings for the first time today. They've obviously talked about them on the broadcast quite a bit, as I have the Xfinity Series standings pulled up. Wrong series. Give me a second. Let me go to the Cup side. All right, there we go. Here's the Cup standings. So, no driver in the round of 12 of the playoffs has won to lock themselves into the next round. But on points, William Byron did clinch at Talladega after last week, and obviously the amount of points he scored in the first race of the round at the Kansas Speedway. So plus 74 mathematically, no matter who wins below the cut line, William Byron will not be eliminated from the playoffs this weekend. Christopher Bell is plus 57 coming in, plus 52 for Kyle Larson. They're pretty much in a great position to clinch after stage 1. Denny Hamlin plus 30, plus 26 for Alex Bowman, plus 25 for Ryan Blaney, Tyler Reddick plus 14, Chase Elliott plus 13, and Elliott is the final driver above the cut line. Joey Logano minus 13 points, Daniel Suarez minus 20, minus 29 for Austin Cindric, and Chase Briscoe minus 32 points as we enter this weekend. One more 20-minute session still to go for Group B, and then qualifying will begin immediately after the second 20-minute session. And we'll get to see those lap times mix in again, just as we did through round 1, and as we do through most of the practice sessions with group efforts throughout the season. So again, Austin Dillon top of the speed charts. The gap between first and second did close quite a bit. Ryan Blaney had a mock qualifying run as well, as he jumped to P2. 83.496 for Blaney, and that was only about 0.03 of a second slower than Austin Dillon. So that does make me believe that Austin Dillon's lap time was more legit now that we have one more driver that's up there. Joey Logano actually jumped ahead of AJ Allmendinger in that leaderboard as well. So you're a fast 5 from that last group. Group A, Austin Dillon, then Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, AJ Allmendinger, followed by Carson Hocevar. So that was the top 5. 19 more drivers will take the track for another 20 minutes here. As you see those towards the bottom of the screen of who is going to be in this group next.
It's complete for Group A. There's still 20 minutes to come for Group B, but here's the times that everybody will be looking at. The drivers will hope to build on going in to qualifying to set the field for tomorrow's Bank of America Roval 400. Austin Dillon, Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, 2 playoff drivers in the top 3. Then AJ Allmendinger, defending race winner, rookie Carson Hocevar, a solid day so far as well.
Yeah, Carson has impressed. Every time we look up, he's in the top 5. Let's see what Group B does here. It seems like the track just continues to get faster and faster. I think the infield, Jeff, starts just a little dirty and slippery, and as the rubber goes down, I think they get a little more confidence.
Yeah, I agree. I think laying this rubber down inside into the racetrack, this new section, 6, 7, certainly the concern was about how dirty it would be. No rubber whatsoever. And lock up
in about a missed corner.
So, Jeff, what's your take on what you've seen so far? Because there was so much made about coming into the Roval weekend about these changes and it's going to cause chaos and whatever. I mean, I know that we're just in practice and Xfinity's already qualified. We're about to go into qualifying here after this 20-minute block. But what do you make of what you've seen of the cars on this adjusted track?
Well, look, when they're out there by themselves or running single file, I don't think the track was going to have much impact at all. The key is, what is it going to be like when the race starts? And I do think some opportunity has been created in turn 6 and heading to turn 7. And how aggressive do you want to be to try to make a pass? So, can't wait for the Xfinity race later this afternoon. See how those guys push the limits.
So when we were heading off to a break at the end of Group A practice, look at what went down with Ross Chastain.
Yeah, pit road practice, trying to get slowed down and come to pit road off the banking. He just looks like he locks up the left front tire, unable to turn down.
Weird. On the track, and waited for practice to end, and then backed up the racetrack and went down pit road. As long as nobody, practice is pretty much over, but I'm not sure I would have trusted all my colleagues to not make another lap.
Going through the last minute explanation details as we climb on board the 24 of William Byron. Let's go for another fun ride.
Brandon Lyons, the spotter for William Byron, called a 25-11. And if you're wearing William Byron, you think, oh my gosh, how are we that slow? And then Rudy Fugel says, no, 23-90. And then the spotter said, okay, my scoring is not working. Miscommunication. I'm nervous like that. If that's 25-11, I have to work on this. 23-92. So the exact same lap time back to back. Next, Kyle Larson went second fastest right there on this exact same speed last lap for 93.
First look at the Lenovo Chevrolet for Richard Childress Racing and Kyle Busch.
Not only Kyle Busch third fastest in this group, but teammate Austin Dillon first fastest in Group 1.
Just gives us more and further proof, Jeff, that in the post-Olympic period of the NASCAR Cup Series schedule, that both the 3 and the 8 have been on an upward trend.
Yeah, I know they wish they could have started the year the way they run the last third of it, because as far as they're in position, win multiple times.
Kyle sits third at the moment. Early on, there's still 14, almost 15 minutes left. In slight lock up there as he's coming into that turn, that what will be a real hot spot tomorrow and this afternoon in the Xfinity Series race. Turn 7, that hairpin coming back up onto the big track. Let's continue this topic of conversation. That is Kyle Busch with Kim Cooney.
Yeah, and often when we come to road courses, we always talk about the threshold of too much information versus not enough. And Kyle apparently not getting enough information before they went green on this final Group B session. He said, I want lap times. I also want to know after each lap, was that better or worse? Where can I pick up speed? So Kyle looking for more information on how he can test the racetrack better as he tries to make the car better in an effort to continue that win streak that is now looking at 20 consecutive years of wins if he gets it before the end of the season.
Couple of cars ahead of where Kyle Busch is Chase Briscoe, and it's not getting any better. Briscoe is languishing down in 17th position. He's a playoff driver. He needs a great win, a great weekend.
All right, another full screen commercial break for those of you watching on the USA Network. We'll go through the full field leaderboard on practice as of right now. Austin Dillon from Group A, still the fastest time in session number 2 with that 83.463 second lap time. Again, an average speed of 98.343 miles per hour. It was actually on his first of 11 laps in that session. Ryan Blaney second, also from Group A. Fastest in Group B right now, I believe, is William Byron, who is 7th overall. So Group B seems to be a little bit slower than Group A overall. We'll see how that will blend into qualifying. But again, to go through that full 38-car leaderboard, you got Austin Dillon first, Ryan Blaney in second, Joey Logano third, AJ Allmendinger in fourth, Carson Hocevar fifth, Bubba Wallace sixth, seventh for William Byron, Kyle Larson in eighth, Chase Elliott ninth, and Kyle Busch 10th. 11th for Tyler Reddick, Ross Chastain in 12th. I don't know why I was about to say Christopher Bell. After Chastain, you got Austin Cindric in 13th, Daniel Suarez 14th, and Michael McDowell 15th. Alex Bowman 16th, Brad Keselowski 17th, Kaz Grala 18th, Martin Truex Jr. 19th, and Christopher Bell in 20th. There he is. Zane Smith in 21st, Denny Hamlin in 22nd, Shane Van Gisbergen in 23rd, 24th for Eric Jones, Noah Gragson in 25th, 26th Chris Buescher, Ty Gibbs 27th, Corey LaJoie 28th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 29th, and Todd Gilliland 30th. 31st Harrison Burton, John Hunter Nemechek in 32nd. Just going down the screen here, you got Chase Briscoe 33rd, Justin Haley 34th, Josh Berry 35th, Ryan Preece 36th, Daniel Hemrick 37th, and Josh Bilicki still in 38th. So that is your full 38-car leaderboard. As we are mid-second and final group of practice here for Group 11. My favorite number, B. All right, enough of that. Dale Opplinger, Doug Fixture, Generator Anderson, thanks for tuning in. See Doug Reno in the chat. Been here for a minute. It is still baseball season. We got playoff baseball going on right now. My Tigers are game 5. Do or die game. ALDS. As we speak. Still scoreless as I just checked the score for the first time in a minute. Hopefully Detroit can put them away.
That transpired just recently. Kyle Busch, let's start with him.
Yeah, entering turn 6, just got the right front locked up. Kind of the first one we've seen do that, Steve.
Earlier than expected. We've seen some around here. This is the 14 all the way down into turn 7.
How about William Byron? Lock up as well. Everybody just finding the parameters. Here's Michael McDowell, road course winner.
Michael just says, there's no way. I mean,
Whoa.
it's obviously
Just missed the signs.
good practice. Serve this penalty.
Did you ever do that? So you just know how it felt? Did you do it
Oh, yeah.
just in case it happened in the race?
There's great opportunities to find out where your car has maximum braking, where you can just push the limit. Watkins Glen, for example, down the back straightaway, you can just push the limit there. If it doesn't work.
Kind of weekend is it going to be for Kyle Larson? He's a road course winner. He's won here on the Roval. What can he do? Can he solidify his position? Just further solidify his position. Stevie headed to the round of 8 after this weekend.
You wonder if there's still some emotion left over. I know it was at the Oval, but remember, this was the site of the double that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Right? He chose to stay at the Indy 500 and run with the weather delays. Didn't get to Charlotte in time to get into his car. Ended up costing the 5 the regular season championship. Tyler Reddick won it. You can look back to this race back on the Oval and say, Kyle should have at least scored some points as a driver, and that would have been enough. So I just wonder if kind of being at the same facility, it wants to just remind everybody that it's okay. I'm doing the double again next year,
But the footnote to that is, if there is anything in question, he's coming here.
Yeah, right. And right now, this run's really impressive. The lap before last was faster than everybody. This one is right on top of teammate William Byron. Austin Cindric, I think, has been really quick most of the day. He's not quite as good this practice as he was the first practice. Daniel Suarez, though, he's only about a tenth of a second off of these Cindric cars. He has good pace. And the big surprise for me today, Brad Keselowski, he's sitting there running right on top, if not quicker than William Byron and Larson. Good run right here from Brad.
Good run from Kenneth Grahler as well.
Yes.
He was right behind Brad on the speed chart.
Brad's really struggled on road courses. But this year it's been better. The pace has been better. He's had more pace, had more speed.
Yeah, 17th currently.
Absolute thriller last weekend in Talladega. 6,000ths of a second. The victory by Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Shane Van Gisbergen. As he comes back out, he sits 11th at the moment, but he'll be getting ready just to utilize Steve this last 7.5 minutes to get ready for quali. Let's have a listen to some recent radio.
Still struggling in the same areas. The corner exits, I'm getting the weight transfer to the back. I think about that one overnight here. Yep, yeah, like everything's good. Braking, entry, middle, really good. Like out of one through 2 is the word.
Look at a qualifying.
Yes.
Horns fired up. You get a high entrance right here to come into the line. You're going to cross the line here.
I think you're right, Steve. He really rolled around the racetrack pretty slowly.
Kim?
As we talk about Alex Bowman, sounds like Alex having radio issues, cannot hear his team. So he will come down pit road and they'll try and fix that radio issue.
Oh, that's frustrating.
Those are certain parts that, the car you just expect to work. Lose practice time in the radio situation.
Only 6.5 minutes left. Practice time has evaporated pretty quickly, and this is not what the 48 needed right at the end. About to dive into qualifying.
I do believe it's qualifying. We're looking at how much the 13 is driven off the front bumper of the 8 Jet. Like you mentioned, very patient, getting up to speed, trying to save his tires. Area between SVG and the alternate start-finish line. Pole sitter and Xfinity. We'll see if he has the same sort of speed and stuff. Would shock me.
Know shortly as to the speed of the WeatherTech Chevy. Pretty cool to have WeatherTech part of the NASCAR Cup Series competition. The naming rights partner of the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, which is another NASCAR-owned property, but really cool to see the McNeil family behind the WeatherTech brand getting involved in Cup competition. And as predicted, SVG to the top, and that is a pretty handy margin over the leader of the NASCAR Cup Series playoff, William Byron. Car may not have been to exactly Shane's liking, but it's quick.
Just a few minutes remaining in practice overall. This is the final of the 20-minute sessions. Group B is obviously out on the racetrack currently. Shane Van Gisbergen from this group, fastest on the speed charts. Maybe not a surprise there. 83.242. He was fifth fastest, I believe, overall in the first session of practice, but first as of right now, late in this session. On his most recent lap, in fact, fifth of 5 that he's ran as of late. So, average lap speed of 98.604 for him there. And now it is time to see the top 10 in the leaderboard. Again, we have Ryan Blaney third, Joey Logano in fourth, AJ Allmendinger 5th, Carson Hocevar in 6th, Bubba Wallace 7th, William Byron 8th, Kyle Larson 9th, and Chase Elliott rounds out the top 10. As far as the playoff drivers go, you got Ryan Blaney in 3rd, Joey Logano in 4th, 8th for William Byron, Kyle Larson 9th, Chase Elliott in 10th. After that, more playoff drivers outside the top 10, Tyler Reddick in 12th, Austin Cindric in 14th, 15th for Daniel Suarez, Alex Bowman 17th, 21st Christopher Bell, Denny Hamlin 23rd. Toyota seemed to be lacking a little bit here today. Chase Briscoe is 33rd. He would be last of the playoff drivers. He's in the worst points situation coming into the weekend, minus 32 points, below Chase Elliott on the cut line. We know how good Chase is on the road courses. It's going to be tough, like I said, to gain a ton of points on the drivers above the cut line. Might have to be looking at a win if you're a Joey Logano, Chase Briscoe, obviously, Austin Cindric, as well as Daniel Suarez. Those are the 4 drivers below the cut line. I'd be shocked if we see a driver below the cut line not win this race. Or advance, I should say, to the next round. I would not be shocked if we just see the same 8 that are above it right now be those same 8 going into next weekend at Vegas when we begin the round of 8. A lot of 8s. A lot of 8s. Got about 2.5 minutes left of practice.
Live and racing. The Cup Series playoffs continue with the Bank of America Roval 400. AJ Allmendinger and colleague teammate Shane Van Gisbergen just chatting about things. 2 guys doing the double, the Xfinity Series and Cup double here in Charlotte, the town they both call home. And AJ just confirming how it feels and that unique language of body language between driver and driver, or driver and crew chief, driver and engineer. Van Gisbergen sits atop practice Group B. Here is Austin Cindric, maybe the unluckiest guy, or one of the most unlucky from last week's big one, the biggest big one ever at Talladega. 28 cars involved, and he was at the head of the pack. Did not expect that to happen.
Really doing everything he needed to do. Looked like he was going to gain a lot of points, maybe even have a chance to win the race. And next thing you know, you're wrecked in one of the biggest wrecks ever. Right there, big bush. Not for 1 car, but about 5 cars, and it all like this.
No matter how many times you watch it, it doesn't get any better, does it? It does not get any better. However, the positive, Steve, you mentioned it on the broadcast. At least Austin and any of the cars did not see air. Yeah, those changes they made were positive ones. Talk more about Austin Cindric, Kip.
Yeah, Lee, you mentioned the misfortune, and we certainly haven't seen the luck from this team that we saw in the first round where they scored 2 top 10 finishes in the round of 16. But if there is a silver lining to last week in the position they're in at minus 29, it's that it simplifies their mindset. Austin told me now they just have to think about winning the race. It simplifies lots of things, including his prep this weekend, the strategy, what they know they have to do versus being close to the cut line, trying to balance a points race versus going for the win.
It's going to be a balance for all of these teams to figure out what the pathway is. There's such an advantage to stopping before the end of the stages, track position wise, but you give up those points.
So there you have it. End of the second block of 40 minutes for Group B. Been a good chunk of practice here at the Roval today so far. And now we get a little more serious. There'll be a brief break, and then everybody resets, gets ready to go again for qualifying. Great thing about this home race is so many of the shop-based team members can come. The families, friends, the associates that usually just watch it on our broadcast, they get to come to Charlotte Motor Speedway and see their drivers and their teams in action in person.
All right. Practice has concluded against Shane Van Gisbergen fastest in session number 2. Austin Dillon second, Ryan Blaney third, Joey Logano fourth, AJ Allmendinger fifth, Carson Hocevar sixth, Bubba Wallace seventh, William Byron eighth, Kyle Larson ninth, and Chase Elliott rounds out our overall top 10. And again, that was only from the second 20-minute sessions for each of these groups. First session fastest there was AJ Allmendinger, of course, SVG's teammate. So, may see those two colleague guys racing up towards the front at the field tomorrow for the race win, as well as maybe towards the end of this qualifying session we're about to get into today as well. Slight break in between this practice session and what we will see for qualifying. Again, session qualifying will be had. It will be timed. 15 minutes in round 1. Round 2, only 5 minutes. And it is split group by group. So Group A will go first for their 15 minutes, and then Group B will have 15 minutes of qualifying. You go out on the racetrack at any point in time in those 15 minutes to try to put together your fastest lap, and only your fastest lap will count towards the pole. Run as many as you would like. Obviously, the least amount, the better for your tires if you advance through round 1 into round 2. Top 5 from each group will advance to the second session. And those top 10, again, in that final round of 5 minutes, will try to go for the pole. Hypnotic calls Gem. Thanks for tuning in. What channel's qualifying on? If you are in the U.S., it is on the USA Network. Outside of the U.S., can't help you there. Apologize for that, for any international viewers of the channel. Earl Arnold Jr. also thanks for tuning in. Asking if I think SVG or someone outside the Xfinity bubble will advance. I think there's a high probability of that. I think all 4 drivers below the cutoff line can very well go out and win this race today for the Xfinity Series. I think it'll be a lot tighter points battle for that race today than what we will see tomorrow in the Cup race, just because the points gaps themselves are a lot closer together in the Xfinity Series following Dega last week than what they are in the Cup, and the drivers below it I could see winning the race. Honestly, I think Joey Logano is the only driver below the cutoff line of the Cup Series that I could see potentially winning this race. He's never won at the Roval, though. And really, road courses in general in the Cup Series, he hasn't won in quite some time. So just by namesake, he would have a chance. And he was pretty good in practice. Both sessions, I think he was top 10. He was top 5 in session number 2. So we picked up some speed there. We'll see how much that will help him. He got to gain 13 points over Chase Elliott, but Chase Elliott also top 10 speed through practice in both sessions as well.
To see who is where of when we go into qualifying. Well, let's hear from the big man himself. SVG is standing by with Kim Coon.
Yeah, Lee Shane Van Gisbergen won the pole for the Xfinity Series. Now he's going to try and sweep the poles this weekend at the Roval. But as we talk about the differences in the race cars, are you finding yourself needing to attack the track differently in the Cup car than the Xfinity car?
It took me a couple of laps to settle in, that's for sure. Around the oval, these things sit on the floor, and the rub box, they call them, like you see all the marks, and the car was going crazy. So it took me a little bit to get used to that. But yeah, Paulic Racing guys, they give me a really good WeatherTech Camaro, and hopefully we're good in qualifying. We did another mock run then just to feel it, and yeah, I feel like we're in a good spot, so see how we go.
How advantageous is the extra seat time pulling both races this weekend?
It is and it isn't. Like, the cars are completely different, the way they drive, the way they brake, but be sure to have a quick look at the track, and, you saw straight away AJ and myself were pretty quick, so yeah, it can't hurt, but the cars are very different.
All right, we'll see if SPG can get the pole on the Cup side of things, too.
He did the track walk yesterday with none other than Kevin Harvick, which I was interesting to observe, and I caught up to the guys on the track walk, and they were having a chat, and I like the way that Shane, even as distinguished as he is in the Southern Hemisphere and globally in sports car racing as well, he has come here with full open eyes, open ears. Tell me what I need to know. Tell me how I can learn to be even better.
Well, he is a perfect example of a professional athlete. We heard earlier the radio coaching Kyle Larson, and we need you a little bit more here, a little bit different here, a little bit more here. I think that's what it gets lost at times in this, whether it's a big league football player or NBA player, even the biggest stars on the globe still have to be coached at certain times. Not because they don't have the talent, but they only know what's out the window if you're a race car driver. And I think for SVG, he's taking something from every conversation. Talking with Daniel Hemrick here, right? Hemrick has way more NASCAR starts. So SVG has the experience at the road courses. But what is Hemrick teaching him, or what's he going to say? Something he may pick up on that he goes and researches and figures out how he wants to attack it himself.
Talking about attacking, you got to attack these chicanes. Have a look at the 48, Jeff, of Alex Bowman. Check this out. This is on the backstretch chicane.
Yeah, look at all of this air. Oh, those blue turtles. They're real, and it's amazing how high up in the air your car gets, and you wonder how. You see how violent that is, but what kind of damage does it do? And you hit it wrong at the wrong time and bend something and end your day. Those things are aggressive.
And look, folks at home might be saying, "Well, why are they hitting them?" Because they're going to try and take the shortest line. They're going to try and steal and chip away at as much time as they can get. What is the express run through? If you can hit it in Stevie, as you said before, in a more straight fashion, if you can hit it in an efficient way and it helps you time wise, you're going to do it, right?
Absolutely. And I don't believe it's crew chief. You can take that tool away from your driver. Right, Jeff? I mean, even if you're worried about damage, then maybe in the race, we'll get to a point in the race where I'm like, hey, Jeff, 2 seconds in the car in front, 1 second in the car in back, 10 laps to go to the stage. Let's just take care of our equipment, stay off the turtles. I might ask to kind of buy a few laps. But here, qualifying, it's going to be full send.
Yeah, unless you know there's a weak link in the system.
Or if you hit something, hey man, we gotta stay off the turtles the rest of the day.
Those flying blue turtles, they bite. It's like a snapping turtle. All right, 15 minutes each group. And then if you're in the top 5 in your respective group, we'll see you again for the top 10 showdown.
So I think the strategy is, if you're on board right here with Chase Elliott, go out, get 1 lap, come in, max time to cool in case you need to run a second time. Alternate start-finish line. So they will be starting and completing their laps in the middle of NASCAR 3 and 4. So Chase Elliott not on the clock yet, heading down the backstretch chicane. So you can almost give up the entry a little bit here, Jeff. You want to get a good run off more than anything. We actually even saw SVG run middle of this bank section and kind of come down the hill. We'll see if Chase does it.
Green flag right now.
And the reason that there is that old start finish is so you can do a lap, dive to the pits if you need to, come back out. You don't have to waste an entire lap coming back around again to enter pit lane.
This is an intense qualifying session. You have to get it all. If you underdrive the car, it's not going to be fast enough. If you overdrive the car, it's not going to be fast enough. You have to find the limits without crossing them.
This track is just over 2.25 miles. It may not be the longest, but it gives the car and driver a thorough test.
Quick shift to 4th, back to 3rd, through turn 5. That's an interesting combination of gears there, because then between 5 and 6, he stays in 3rd. Let's see what gear he goes down to here. Only the 2nd, Jeff. We had this conversation. RPM looks like you could go to 1st if you chose.
Yeah, I think in qualifying, though, you're just trying to roll as much speed as you can through the center of the corner. You don't want to downshift it and slow it down.
We're looking for a 123 something for sure. If you think you're going to advance, 120, a low 123.
5th back to 2nd for the backstretch.
Mark will be set. First part of completed lap. Chase Elliott, time. Oh, 23. Oh, wow, that's a low 23. My goodness.
That's a good time.
Best time of the day.
From Chase Elliott, the 2-time Roval winner.
Oh, we have an even better time of the day.
Lady 23.3. Oh, Reddick, a new fast time. This is what's so tough about qualifying. That 22.7 is a half a second faster than anything we've seen in practice.
Yeah.
Good work. This is the turnaround. Maybe this is the beginning of the turnaround that everybody has been wondering when will it happen for Tyler Reddick. It's still early though, 11.5 minutes to go, but that's a very impressive start. Here's AJ Allmendinger. Celsius Chevy for Pauling Racing. Debrief had a chat with his teammate Shane Van Gisbergen, the quickest from practice. Have they made any last-minute adjustments? 4 for the Dinger.
That's going to be uncomfortable with so many cars yet to run and other cars with the ability to go out and run faster. Again, I'm not sure if AJ is going to be able to just sit on that lap.
All right, you get the green right here.
All right, there you go. So get the green. It looks like a very calm backstretch to me.
It's a promising start from Logano.
Top 5 advanced. They're being compared to Reddick right now. Now let's compare him to Blaney because that's really the bogey. And that makes Logano look better, right? 10th and a half better. So he's not quite as fast as Reddick at the moment of the lap, but faster than the current 5th place driver, Blaney.
A lot of time right here to be made or lost. It's slow, so slow right there. If you don't do it just right, it kills this corner exit. Logano with a good job.
Did a really good job. Look at that time here. In fact, 0.2 of a second to the good. The comparison to Blaney at the cut line in 5th. 9.5 minutes to go. Backstretch chicane. Got to do it right. Got to do it well because this is the end of the lap. Back up onto the speedway track. Alt finish line looming. And Joey's still in the green. There it is there.
But only 5th. I thought he was going to be a little higher than that.
Comes Denny Hamlin's.
Good for now, but will it hold?
He was back in 8th.
Bell was in the green, but he gave it all back in turn 7. Nearly 0.2 of a second in the new turn 7 hairpin.
Top 2 drivers in this group are playoff drivers. Tyler Reddick, Chase Elliott. What a day for 23-11 racing. 1st and 3rd at the moment. Bubba Wallace in 3rd.
Bell with a great backstretch chicane has got it within reach. 6th.
That was a good comeback.
Like your session is complete, that's going to advance. I would almost have to think that Elliott and Wallace are feeling okay. Allmendinger, Logano, I think you mentally, Jeff, if I'm your crew chief right here, I'm letting you know we're definitely going to run again. That was a good lap. What do you need? Continue to ask to try to improve.
Josh Berry, the only one on track. This Bed Bath and Beyond Ford for Stuart Haas Racing.
You see Allmendinger talking about whether you're going to run again or not. I think Allmendinger, Logano, to your point, Steve, they have to plan on going because Bell, Blaney, Chastain, all good road racers, all have a chance to knock you down. And also, a couple drivers, you see Noah Gregson, he ran a 34. Martin Truex ran a 37. That means they did not hit their laps at all. So they have a chance to go back out and beat you.
This is what happened to the 10. Here's Noah Gregson.
Just missed it. That's a front straightaway chicane. Just simply missed it. So the lap is done. The other thing that tells me, Steve, is that he went around the racetrack slowly. He did not put much heat in his tires for the rest of the lap. So he can come in, get those things cooled down, and have a shot to go beat you.
Denny Hamlin back in 9th. Ryan Blaney 7th. Christopher Bell 6th. Just 2 playoff drivers in this top 5 at the moment. 7 minutes remain. Josh Berry half a second off. Logano's 5th place at the moment. That time's going away. 6.5 tenths, 7 tenths.
And running a second lap. I almost wonder, Steve, this is a little bit of a track time lap.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Just trying to get up to speed a little bit.
Good point, Jeff, too, because first time for Josh Berry on the Roval. So every lap is a bonus lap. And that'll be the end of his run as he comes to this alt finish line. Or is he going to keep running?
No, he's done. But Priest made 2 laps. Malicki made 2 laps. Hocevar made 2 laps. Hocevar actually ran faster on his second lap.
And Carson Hocevar is in the top 10. So, all right, everybody's back. They're resetting. They're talking with their respective teams and ready to go again.
Well, so now the pressure is this. Reddick and Elliott, 2 playoff cars, are probably going to advance. Logano currently in, could easily be knocked out. Bell, Blaney, and Hamlin not in. This first stage is short enough that, it doesn't require a pit stop. You'll be able to take the green flag and run all 25 laps to the end of that stage. So qualifying inside the top 10 increases your chance of stage points dramatically. And if you're these playoff cars, it's all about points. So Chase Elliott, bravo, job well done. Tyler Reddick, same. But for Logano, Bell, Blaney, and Hamlin, it's kind of all right here. Can you improve your qualifying position?
What do you do if you're Wallace? Man in the middle, P3, 23-0, 123-0.
I think that lap time's okay.
If I'm Wallace, I'm asking my driver how clean the lap was, how much room he thinks he can improve. And if,
I don't
you
know.
ask him that, Bubba says, I messed up 3 corners, 4 corners. We actually have more pace. Then I'm probably going to be on the racetrack. But if he honestly looks me in the eye and say, that was a really clean lap, I felt great about it, there's an argument where I just sit on pit road and hope we transfer, because then we have
I think he's
coolest
good.
tires for the next round.
I think-
where maybe that would make
I think Bell, Blaney are the only 2 I could see moving up into the top 5.
Or he missed the lap.
Maybe Chastain,
Reset, he goes again. 4.5 minutes left on the clock.
but he would have to pick up a half a
It's good
second
chance that he's
to
gonna
knock
run
Wallace out.
up the grid. The question is how far. And clearly he, made a mistake early in his run. But I think too, Steve, this will tell a lot of teams how much faster you can run on your second time out. The problem is you better assume you can run faster because you can't wait for this information. You may not take the green flag in time. Right.
Noah Gregson in his Beefaroo Stuart Haas Ford is the only one to go out. And as I say that, Carson Hocevar rolls off pit road. Here they come. Ryan Blaney is exiting pit road. So it's going to be a frantic final 3.5 minutes. Austin Dillon is rolling in the 3. Things are going to get busy. Can you be in that top 5 in advance to the next round of qualifying and be in that top 10 showdown? Beginning of the lap here for Gregson. He's on the clock. The comparison is to 5th place Joey Logano.
This kind of series just a little bit.
Noah's trying to make up for a missed opportunity a little earlier. Meanwhile, those further up the ladder than he is, it's going to get pretty interesting with Bell and Blaney and Hamlin all trying to bounce their way into that top 5 as playoff drivers. Here's Ryan Blaney, the discount tire Ford for Team Penske.
Blaney was second fastest in practice, too.
What makes
In his group.
so difficult.
Second fastest in his group of practice.
Hey, now you got to try to find that back through the infield. 0.2 of a second down, just putting yourself further and further behind. A little bit in every corner, Jeff. I don't see a big moment or a mistake.
No, he's pushing it. You can hear the rev limiter. You see he's maxed out on corner entry speed. Nothing else left to get.
Some time to be gained for Carson Hocevar, though. He's only 0.2 of a second off. He's in 10th, and if he can be within 0.2 of a second of Logano in 5th, he's going to make up some ground. Won't make the 5, but will make up some ground. Time's going away. Ryan Blaney's time's going away as well. Half a second off his teammate Logano in 5th. And there's 1.5 minutes left on the clock.
To answer your question now, if I'm Bubba Wallace, I'm not moving. I don't see enough green here to scare me. And I think 3 people are going to jump up to what we ran. I'm going to sit on my
1:23.0. There he is out of the car chatting. Pleased with that.
So we'll get out of this. How about Blaney taking the very short way around?
And that's it for the 12. There will be no top 10 appearance for the reigning Cup Series champion. Here's Christopher Bell on screen. The DeWalt 20, the Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing.
Already a big deficit, though. It's 0.6 of a second. That's a little surprising to me. I thought Bell would be closer. Remember, that's 0.6 to fifth, who is a half a second off of Reddick's first time.
So now, if you're in this second group, you know you got to lay it down first lap.
Yeah.
There is no going and fixing a mistake.
There is nothing even relatively close, is there, on these second runs to challenge that fifth place of Joey Logano? Just seconds left on the clock. That's it for Christopher Bell.
So Truex did improve. Remember, he had a bad first lap, so he did improve his run. So he moved up to 15th. He was down at about 19th, 18th.
This is not an improvement from Denny Hamlin on the lap that he's already got on the board. And nobody's in a threatening position to push Joey Logano off that top 5 spot.
And Joey Logano, he made that second run. He felt like he had to defend his spot. That is going to hurt him in the next round where he's trying to set his top 10 speed. He's the only guy in the top 5 that made an extra lap. I don't know that he had a choice, right? It's easy to sit here and say I wouldn't have run after the fact when we have all this information, but that was you just didn't know what was going to happen.
Mark Truex Jr. finishes off his qualifying run, and after that hiccup early on with not only himself, but then there was the Noah Gragson moment as well. So they will finish down in the teens, from the mid-teens, from this first group. It's Tyler Reddick with a blistering time of a 1:22.7 to set the pace and immediately confirm his spot in the top 10 showdown, and fellow playoff driver and 2-time winner here at the Roval, Chase Elliott, his teammate Bubba Wallace. So both 2311 cars, first and third from this first group. Really good representation there. Then AJ Allmendinger, no surprise to see the dinger in the top 5, and Joey Logano. They make it through. We will see them again. Chase Briscoe, Daniel Suarez. They've got some digging to do. William Byron, he's already set. Hamlin's in a good position. Blaney, Cindric, after last weekend's big crash out. It's the final time we're going to see 12. This is an elimination race tomorrow. Who will make it? Who won't?
I like the piped in crowd noise for that outro leading into the commercial break. Shane Van Gisbergen, Kaz Gralla, Daniel Hemrick, Michael McDowell, John Hunter Nemechek, Todd Gillen, Zane Smith, Kyle Busch, Justin Haley, Chris Buescher, Eric Jones, Ty Gibbs, Brad Keselowski are the non-playoff drivers who will qualify here in Group B. Playoff drivers would include Austin Cindric, Chase Briscoe, Daniel Suarez, Alex Bowman, Kyle Larson, and William Byron. Again, Fast 5 will advance just as we saw from round 1. And we will have a 5-minute session in round number 2 for those drivers to try to set the quick time there. Yeah, Truex a little bit off the speed. The Toyotas in general, though, looking a little off outside of Tyler Reddick. I should say specifically the Joe Gibbs Toyotas. Don't seem to quite have the speed on the road courses this weekend. Usually Denny Hamlin's lacking on the speed side of things when it comes to the road courses of recent years and with this next-gen car, but we've seen a lot of speed out of Ty Gibbs, Christopher Bell this season on road courses. Bell just missing out on the Fast 5 through round 1. We'll see what Gibbs can do in round 2, or Group B, I should say. He's the only JGR Toyota of the 4 in this second group. And Kyle Busch can be quick. He was top 5 in his group in practice. Michael McDowell, we know, is really good on these road courses. SVG, Larson, Byron. I think you're going to see a lot of those guys. There's really only 7 guys on here that I think would be in the top 5. Here's my 7. I'm going to guarantee that the top 5 will be any of these 7 drivers. It will be SVG, Michael McDowell, Kyle Busch, Austin Cindric, Kyle Larson, William Byron. Yeah, that's it. That's all I've got for 6. I think those are going to be 6 drivers that will be of the top 5. Obviously, not all 6 will make the top 5, but of those 6, I think that's where your 5 are going to come from. We didn't see that much speed out of Chris Buescher in practice, even though he is pretty good on road courses. He was outside the top 20. I just don't see anybody else on there. Like, maybe Bowman could sneak in, but he was outpaced by all 3 of his Hendrick teammates in practice, Elliott, Larson, and Byron. You won't have to worry about Elliott in this group. Cindric, Penske cars look quick in practice. Logano made it to the Fast 5 from Group A, so I give Cindric a chance there. He's pretty talented on these road courses as well. So that's my prediction for Group B for qualifying. We'll take a quick break before that begins. You're listening live on KRC to Bank of America Roval 400 qualifying for the NASCAR Cup Series.
But for both 2311 Toyotas, and qualifying's looking even better. Tyler Reddick, with the time to chase, confirms his spot in the top 10 showdown with his teammate, along with fellow playoff drivers Chase Elliott and Joey Logano. But let's hear from the fast man with Kim's.
Yeah, wicked fast lap for Tyler Reddick, and I mentioned that to him, and he said, "Was it? So did it not feel fast when you were out there?"
I mean, honestly, I think it was a really good lap, but I think as a driver, you're always just thinking of what else you can do with your race car to maybe go faster. But we'll watch and see here. The temps going up, the track's gonna be a little bit cleaner for Group B qualifying, so we'll just see what some of these guys over there will do. Obviously, expect a lot of speed out 13, 2, the 5. A lot of good cars in there, so we'll just see what happens, but we'll be ready to give it a go in round 2 qualifying our Monster Energy Camry and hopefully have a shot at the pole again.
As you look at tomorrow, plus 14 to the elimination line, and you've got 3 straight top 10 finishes here, is it top 10 enough, or how do you approach this race?
I mean, we'll have more answers. A must-have situation. That's what we needed to do. We did that in that first round. So now from here, yeah, if we can just follow it up in round 2 and get the pole, it'll give us a lot of options in the race. Give us the choices that we're seeking, to be able to run the race for stage points or just go for the win. So we'll see how it goes, but it's definitely nice when you can bring speed like that when it matters. Practice was a bit of a struggle for us, to be honest. Just trying to put the best lap together, making some mistakes along the way, but got that out of the way and back to where I feel like we need to be on these road courses.
That's Tyler Reddick, and it sounds like, guys, that there's more left out on the track for him to grab in terms of pace for the next round of qualifying.
And when you heard Tyler say be on the pole again, he was on the pole for the Roval a year ago. And interestingly, this year on the road and street courses, there has been a different winner, a different pole winner, Jeff, every time, and also a different race winner every time. We'll see if that variability continues, but we're not there yet. This is not to set the pole. This is just to set the top 5 in Group B. As Tyler said, track will be a little bit cleaner for them. We're in qualifying mode. We'll see how this pans out. Who has the speed in Group B?
Yeah, in Group A, no playoff drivers did anything that was a little harmful to what they're needing to have happen tomorrow. Reddick and Elliott, those in a position, in my eyes, need some stage points. They both qualified well so far. Logano in that same spot. So nobody really put themselves in a real bad spot. Let's see if the rest of the guys in this group can do the same.
I think the worry point in this one is the car that just went through shot. Number 14, Chase Briscoe. He was kind of languishing in the lower half of his group in both 20-minute practice sessions. There he is there, the white, blue, and red Ford Mustang. Just going out of shot. Just the car didn't look compliant, didn't have the speed. We'll see what happens here in qualifying.
And on the other side of that, I think the real opportunity zone is with the 2-car, Austin Cindric. He had really good pace in the first practice, maybe a tenth of a second off of Larson, but right there on speed. So if this guy can qualify well and have track position all day, he could make something great happen.
By the way, this Valvoline Chevy for Henry Motorsports looks good. You can kind of see the confetti style design of it. Got up close to this car this morning. It looks awesome. He's feeling good too. Locked into the 8. William Byron at home here in North Carolina, in Charlotte. Love to get a victory in his backyard. Doesn't need to. He's already, as we said, he's already going through to the next phase of the Cup playoffs.
I think that almost increases his chance at victory.
Because you're better, a bit looser.
Yeah, looser. You don't have to worry about the strategy for points and all this other mess. You're here to have fun, to enjoy yourself. So.
Okay, let's go. Let's see what we've got. As everybody builds to speed, the line you're about to see on the track, that is the alternate start-finish in qualifying mode. And William Byron, a 1:22.955. So about just 2/10 off.
Larson beating by just a little bit of 93. Coleman, not the lap he was looking for.
Again, Tyler Reddick's a 1:22.7. Just to give you some comparison from Group A to Group B.
Well, instantly, there's 3 cars in the 122s with Cedric jumping to second.
To Steve's point, there was only one car in that 1:22 range in Group A, and that was Tyler Reddick. So this group a lot closer. Kyle Busch puts it in there in 4th at the moment. Keselowski 5th.
Alex Bowman, he's in pretty good shape, but he is not going to make the top 5 in this first round. He's going to have to run again and try to make that happen. Todd Gilliland with a good lap.
Interesting strategy here by the 13 SVG. He did not go out with everyone right away. I wonder if he didn't think he could have such a slow outlap. Right? If other people would push his pace, he couldn't get the timing right. Because if you look at the 13 right here, he is 50% at best speed.
He's got Daniel Suarez ahead of him, but a good distance ahead, like NASCAR 1 and 2.
And Suarez should be finishing his lap, I believe, right?
And Suarez went out. He went out with everybody, went around the racetrack, and came back down pit road. I'm not sure what he was doing. So he just took the green. He went out, came down pit road, sat at the end of pit road. Not sure. Maybe he thought just roll a little bit of, not really put wheat in the tire, but scuff them up just a little bit.
Well, so far, it looks good. He's in the green compared to Larson.
Just hit the news on the rev limiter there as well. There's a couple in the green. No surprise to see Shane Van Gisbergen in the green. Keselowski on the cut line in that top 5. Larson, Cindric, Byron, Busch, and Keselowski.
SVG in the green.
Comparing to Keselowski, Suarez still going to be in the green there.
SVG in the green by a half a second.
He's a half a second over 5th. But remember, as aggressive as he may run, it gets wiped off the board once you advance. So SVG only really needs to run hard enough to not have to run again, if that makes sense.
By the way, if you're just joining us, you didn't catch Group A in qualifying. There were improvements, but nobody improved enough to jump their way. These first laps that were turned in Group A.
82.697 for SVG.
See if that is the same here in Group B.
Suarez is going to be so close to knocking Keselowski off.
He could get it. He could get it. It's coming back. It's close, but not enough.
He lost it all in the turn 6-7 complex, the new part of the racetrack, newly designed. That's where he lost every bit of it.
He's going to be your fast man, Steve. Shane Van Gisbergen to the line and to the top.
Bumps bad
1:22.6 fastest time we've seen today.
It is, but very close to Reddick, only 200 separate. So while SVG once again proves why he's the favorite coming into these road courses, now the driver of the 45s is not so fast, only a couple hundreds faster than me.
Wow, look at the pace.
Oh, whoa.
Hey, Michael McDowell, he shifted down in there.
A little too much. By the way, if the top, I will state if the top 5 holds the way it is, and I predicted the top 5 for Group B of qualifying, and the only guy who I thought that could have knocked him out was Michael McDowell. So even if he bumps Busch, it looks like I'm going to be correct. It's a little attaboy and pat myself on the back, metaphorically.
Everything it has. Interesting different setups in these race cars. This right front tire barely touched the racetrack.
Make time in odd corners for him, Jeff. Where I bet he wouldn't be able to make time, he is. In the corners I would have highlighted, he's a little bit off.
Time going away, close to 0.2 of a second off. Might be able to get some back here in the back straight chicane.
He's very good under braking. But gets it back
Oh.
on exit.
Yep.
This is too much to make up in what's left because that alt finish line is coming up. And unfortunately, the second half of the lap, Jeff, went away from Michael McDowell.
But just
He's going to give it another shot.
not from a lack of effort, I can tell you that. But he is pushing. Oh, he's going to hold the racetrack.
And currently at 11th, even if he doesn't improve into the top 5, if he improves his time at key positions.
Pretty hard to improve this time, I think, unless he feels like he just messed something up. Extra heat in the tires.
Yeah. So this reminds me, we pointed out another car that looked this way. I just don't love the soft rear suspension approach.
That was Briscoe.
Yeah, Briscoe. Yeah, another Ford. And it's just, you mentioned the right front bouncing off. That's not because of the front suspension. That's the rear. The soft rear allows, think about it like a table. If I cut an inch off one of the legs, when I push that leg on the ground, the opposite, the diagonal corner or the diagonal leg comes off the ground.
So he made some ground up through the midfield section of the track and then has given it back up again and it's blowing out.
Now, with a softer rear suspension, I would imagine the infield would be where you would be the best. You would struggle in some of these high speed, right, left, right situations like the chicanes are.
And it could be a trade off. I mean, made rear grip become so important in the race. In the infield section that they may just say, you know what? We know we're not going to go as fast, but in the race, we're going to be better because we're going to have more rear compliance, potentially more rear grip.
So that's it for the Loves Ford Front Row Motorsports Michael McDowell. He gave it a good shot, really tried hard, but 11th in Group B is where it's going to be, and we may not see too many takers here in this 5.5 minutes. Maybe will Brad Keselowski go back out there and try and find another 1/10 of a second to push Kyle Busch out of the top 5? Will Daniel Suarez, as a playoff driver, try and find another 1/10 and push Kyle Busch out? We'll wait and see. Of the playoff drivers, unfortunately, Ryan Briscoe, but Chase Briscoe.
It's a past life.
Past life,
Yeah,
former
yeah.
life creeping back.
So the driver I really have circled is Alex Bowman, right? We have, of the 400 cars, he's the Byron here in round 2. You know, Bowman won the street course. He has proven his road course ability. Is there something, he's a 1/10.5 off of Busch? Is there a moment on the racetrack or something in the setup they could adjust? Maybe some air pressure? What was Alex fighting, and can they adjust the race car? Can Blake Harris communicate with his driver and find a little bit more pace?
We're in the mode of setting the grid for tomorrow's Bank of America Roval 400. It's going to be quite the day.
Ain't a block every day, the Charlotte Roval. Greg, get more points, make your wins. You got a time, come on, get one out here, be ready. Clear. Check up. Keep it straight, It's so close. Still on. It's all you. Fingers out, baby.
Who's going to have that feeling that AJ Allmendinger had a year ago here at the Roval? As we remind you, while yes, it's an individual race, it's part and an all-important part of the 2024 NASCAR Cup Series playoffs, and that's where the points lie at the moment. William Byron is highlighted in yellow because he is locked in. He couldn't when we were at Talladega last weekend, and he was there, and he was able to miss the big one. He was locked in. We're going to be talking a lot about Logano, Suarez, Cindric, and Chase Briscoe. There's been some chaos in the playoffs, but that's expected. Atlanta unexpectedly, it was Kyle Larson that surprised us all with a big one, and Briscoe was wrong place, wrong time.
And Watkins Glen, this was early in the race. A lot of playoff drivers involved.
Benny Hamlin involved in that early one, involved again in the late accident. And then right here, William Byron almost over the guardrail.
Brad Keselowski in that, and then last week Talladega. 28 cars.
Here, this is who wasn't in it, right? So,
Yeah.
you know, like this was in my eyes, a major break for Dick Hamlin. Did not have track position. I don't know how he was going to get it that late in the race. Missed this wreck. Ended up rolling out of there in great shape.
2 minutes left on the clock, and we were wondering how many takers would we have to try and get a tenth or two here or there. Well, the answer now is plenty. Cars are on track everywhere. Track very active. Here's Briscoe.
You mentioned it. His first practice. Car never looked like it was settled. It never had pace. It never looked comfortable to drive.
It looked like he was kind of driving to his. Like he would turn the wheel, the back was right there. The back moves, and now you have to correct with your steering wheel. Now you're not driving the car to your next spot. You're still chasing it through the corner before.
So again, the times you see on your screen, although they're in red, which means they're behind, the comparative is to Kyle Busch in 5th place. So at the moment, Briscoe's 3.5 tenths off.
And now, if you're a Briscoe fan, to what you were saying about McDowell, Jeff, you know, this is perhaps a conscious setup decision that they believe this car will be better on the long run in the race. That's why the back of the car has that compliance. The penalty, though, can be qualifying.
Stewart Haas teammates in the first session were 16th, 17th, and 18th. So just not qualifying pace at all.
Just get a little bit back here in this closing portion of the lap. As the seconds wind down, we're almost finished. But it's not. It's going the other way. 6 tenths off now. 6 tenths off 5th place. That's not going to be an improvement on what he's already got on the board, unfortunately. For his Ford Performance Racing Center, Stewart Haas Ford. Daniel Suarez, 2 tenths off at this early stage in his lap. Up and over and through turn 6, heading to turn 7. Hey, there's a splash of green on the screen. It's Brad Keselowski.
Yeah, and he's all the way into the backstretch chicane. I think Brad's going to have enough speed here.
Oh, no. My prediction's going to be wrong.
First question we asked, would Keselowski go out there and try and...
Yep, he got it.
And Brad Keselowski pushes Kyle Busch out of the 5.
It's been that kind of year for Kyle Busch. You know?
He ain't lying.
Especially these last 10 races or so, and things like that keep happening. But great job by Brad Keselowski. Brad's had a good day today. He's had really good pace.
So the time has expired. Flying laps count.
Yeah, Bowman had a lap going down the backstretch. Something in the backstretch chicane just didn't go his way.
Yeah, that looked a bit wonky, didn't it?
There was a big loss there.
So Bowman's going to start around 17th spot.
There you have it.
There you have it. Shane Van Gisbergen, Kyle Larson, Austin Cindric. That's a good bounce back from last week after being taken out in the big one. William Byron, the points leader, heading into the round of 8. And then Brad Keselowski.
Nope.
Yeah, we saw McDowell pushing really hard, trying to make something happen. And
Yeah.
just simply did not have enough grip for that amount of pace.
Missed the front stretch chicane in practice,
So that
too.
leaves us with just the top 10 showdown. And there is Kyle Busch. He was in it until just a little moment ago when Brad Keselowski, by a few hundredths of a second, was able to push the 8 out. Top 5 drivers from each group there are ready to go for the pole.
At Venom Gyms,
All right, so here we are. Just concluding our second group, Group B. And round one qualifying, your fast five from this group, Shane Van Gisbergen, Kyle Larson, Austin Cindric, William Byron, and Brad Keselowski. I almost had the top five predicted. Kyle Busch was my fifth, and he got bumped right at the end there by Brad Keselowski. I almost had the exact order going into this. That would be insane. That would have ended up hitting, but unfortunately not the case. As of right now, Shane Van Gisbergen, though, I think is going to be the one to beat for the pole, personally. I think he's the one to beat for the pole, and he's probably going to be the one to beat in both races for the actual race itself, Xfinity and Cup, here this weekend. Kind of keeping track of my Tigers, and just saw that Cleveland hit a grand slam off of Scooble in the fifth. Unbelievable. Yeah, another commercial break. Got to take a gap time, though, between... Got to take a little bit of a gap time period between the first group. Well, I should say the first round and the second round here. Group B drivers just coming off of the racetrack. So about a 10-minute cooldown period, give or take, from the end of Group B Session 1 to the start of Session 2 overall. All 10 of these drivers will have 5 minutes to try to set their fastest time. And you almost wonder if the advantage would be for Group A. And the only reason I say that is because the heat in the tires for the Group B drivers who just went might be a little higher. And that could lead into maybe better lap times of the Group A drivers, so that could be a disadvantage for SVG, who just went out. And SVG was actually one of the last drivers in Group B to go out and make his first lap as well, although it was fastest in that group. Tyler Reddick was fastest of the Group A drivers. And now you see the 10 drivers in total, as you have Joey Logano, AJ Allmendinger, Bubba Wallace, Chase Elliott, Tyler Reddick, Brad Keselowski, William Byron, Austin Cindric, Kyle Larson, Shane Van Gisbergen as the 10. I'm also going to go out with my bold prediction here. I was close to predicting all the top 5. I was 4 for 5. Keselowski snuck in there on his second lap, and he was the only driver that actually bumped in on a second lap in either group. But I think he's going to be last in this group. Kind of surprised that he is even in the top 10 in qualifying. I don't think of Keselowski as being a great road course racer, but honestly, 17th in practice, pretty good for him, but even better than that through qualifying. The only difference is now is he's got to put together a full race, which we haven't really been able to see him do much on the road courses, but you never know. His teammate Chris Buescher winning at Watkins Glen a few weeks ago. See what Brad has learned for this Roval event this weekend. Having that good starting spot's huge for him, not being a playoff driver as well. Could put him right up there in the top 5 by the end of things if he has a clean day.
The sports, Sonic Automotive, Speedway Motorsports Incorporated, they grouped together and have donated $2 million in hurricane relief, but right across the board. I mean, Penske donated $1 million, 2311, Michael Jordan donated $1 million, Joey Logano's foundation, all up and down the grid. Everybody involved. I want to give a special shout out to members of our team that bring you the aerial coverage from our choppers. Kevin Knotts, Eric Corrier, Josh Garner, Austin Franklin, enormously generous with their time and what they've done in with helicopter work. Guys, it's been an amazing show of human spirit and generosity, and for everything that goes on in the world, and division and differences of opinion. This is human beings being at their best and trying to help one another.
You know, the thousands and thousands of people that have tried to find a way to help and have found a way to help through giving their time, money, resources. It has been great to watch.
And for those in those affected areas, we are thinking of you, and the NASCAR community has helped enormously. And one of those members is Greg Biffle. He will start the race tomorrow here in Charlotte.
All right, another commercial break again. There was going to be a longer gap time period between the end of the first round with the Group B drivers and the beginning of this round because there's no separation in the groups anymore. As we will have all the Group A and Group B drivers on the racetrack for this second and final session. Again, only 5 minutes, so not a lot of time to try to go out there and put together a fast lap. As long as you get your lap started by the alternate start-finish line, which is in the middle of oval 3 and 4, then that lap will count. Imagine most of these Group B drivers going to go out late in the session, maybe the Group A drivers earlier in the session to try to get a clean lap away from traffic. Kyle Busch's position. So because he was 6th in Group B, he'll be starting 11th tomorrow. We'll have the full starting lineup for you following this final session of qualifying, but Busch will be starting 11th. We'll take another quick break before we wrap up qualifying. Be sure to hit the like button again if you haven't yet. Subscribe for more daily NASCAR content, live commentary streams like this every NASCAR race weekend. Xfinity coverage today at 4 p.m. Eastern. Cup race coverage tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. Eastern. Yep, no problem. Seth Thomas, John Fleming, and X, thanks for tuning in. Of those that have tuned in recently into the chat over the last several minutes or so. Imagine they'll be coming back from the break after this next commercial that I'm seeing right now. I just have that feeling. Had it for a minute. Although it's usually after a NASCAR ad they come back, so it might not be after this ad. Nope, I was right. Never mind.
It's a great lineup to contest the showdown for pole position. The top 5 from each group. And what have we got, Jeff? 1, 2, 3. We got 6 playoff drivers in it. That's cool.
Yeah, it is cool. And remember, these playoff guys, they either need to win a great day or a little bit of a relaxed day, right? Some of these guys are in really good shape. William Byron, clearly. Chris Roval, they're in really good shape. Larson's in decent shape. But some of them, you got a few that need to win. And I think one of them potentially is Austin Cindric. Good speed in practice and good qualifying session.
Another guy, he's not in the 10, but he'd love a win as well, is standing by with Kim Kuhn.
Yeah, Lee, that'd be Daniel Suarez. Just missed out on the second session of qualifying. What more did you need during your laps?
We loaded in first practice a little bit off, and then we made a great adjustment for second run in practice in the second 20 minutes, and I was pretty happy with the car. And as we all know, in qualifying we gained a lot of speed. We gained over a second, and we made an adjustment for that. And the car had a lot more grip, but the platform of the car we missed it on the platform a little bit. It had a lot of rear grip, but the front was not there. So we just missed it on the platform a little bit, unfortunately. But the car has good speed. I feel like we already found track of what we need to be in the second stint of practice. So I think it's not pretty, but we can run from there.
Some significant changes to the configuration. What was your takeaway after that practice session?
I love it. Honestly, huge credit to SMI and NASCAR for thinking outside the box. We've been racing in the Roval already for several years, and to make a little change, I think it's nice. Corner 7 is amazing. It's gonna be a great passing zone. We're gonna put on a show in 7 for you guys.
But tomorrow's going to be a good time.
That's great. That's what I was looking forward to. The first bit of feedback about what they think about the track, and to see Daniel just come storming out saying, "I love it, really enjoyable." And he said, "Look, yeah, we're not in the 10th, but we can race from where we are in 13th, which is optimistic, and that's the outlook you got to have when you're on the outside looking in the playoff picture."
And the truth of the matter is, if you can take a positive approach or you can take a negative one. You can come over here and say, I don't like the Roval. I think we should be doing something different. Well, guess what? The people that do like it, they're gonna have an advantage. So what the racetrack is, and this is a very difficult racetrack. And as a race car driver, that's what I want. I want it to be difficult because I think that I'm good enough to take advantage of it being difficult. And if you think otherwise, you're at a disadvantage already.
All right, let's warm up. Let's build up. Let's get ready to roll because clock's ticking. The drivers on track will be getting some heat in those tires and brakes, like Kyle Larson in the HendrickCars.com Chevy through the back straight chicane and coming to begin a lap. Got to get one in the book straight away, even if you want to bite in the second one. Here we go. He's coming to that alternate start finish. Let's do it. The 5 is on the clock.
Trying to push everything to the max, carry as much entry speed as you can, but this part of the racetrack is so important to carry good corner exit speed. Now a heavy braking zone, left-hander, left side tires get really light, easy to lock and tire up. Massive uphill run.
Timmy doesn't do it justice, does it?
No,
it doesn't show the gradient.
Then big downhill right here. You're trying to turn. A lot of guys make mistakes there. Watch how much racetrack Kyle Larson uses. All the way out to the grass. And now headed into the new section. So this corner 5 was there, but 6 uphill. Whoa! Off the right side of the track. Set yourself up for 7. Back to the throttle quick. Whoa, trying to get to the throttle. Number of grip. And that will hurt this long straight.
It's been an exciting lap, but it may not be the fastest lap for Kyle Larson.
It's always difficult to tell, right? You see a car slip and slide, but maybe he just maximized it, and it's going to work out.
Even when Tyler Reddick, who was the second fastest from overall in qualifying, said to Kim, I don't know, was it a quick lap? Did it feel like it? Larson sets the time to chase at a 1:23.330. Remember, there were many cars in the 1:22 range. Joey Logano already exceeds that. 1:23.1. Jumps to the top. Reddick,
Wow.
1:22.7. Basically,
It's almost identical to what he ran.
Tyler Reddick trying to do what he did here a year ago. Sit on the pole position.
Back out of this for a quick second and try to rewind it forward. I think I'm a little bit behind. Had a quick lag there a couple minutes ago during the commercial break.
We have a lot of drivers in this top 10 that are not in the playoffs. AJ Allmendinger, Bubba Wallace, Kozlowski, SVG, William Byron, he's already advanced. So, 5 drivers that don't necessarily have to chase points. They don't necessarily have to race stages. They can just position themselves for the end of the race and trying to get the win. And that will have an impact on how the other playoff drivers, how they race this first and second stage.
Toyota, Chevrolet, Ford in the top 3 in that order. Reddick, Allmendinger, Logano. Then Larson and Wallace.
What a great opportunity for William Byron to be riding along with. Knowing you're locked into the next round of the playoffs, you come here relaxed. This is a great opportunity to learn without the pressure, to be willing to take risks, take chances that you might not could take if you're in the position of some of the other playoff guys.
Show you a replay involving Bubba Wallace earlier in his first run. Whoa!
Wow. That was a ramp. That was not a turtle.
And then some.
That was a ramp.
And that's why his time was not as speedy as it was earlier, 1:23.9.
Yeah? Surprised it was still that good.
A second off his teammate, Tyler Reddick. Here's William Byron.
This was a 110 lap race, might I add.
Green on the screen.
Bouncing on the turtles that much, that many times, you'd imagine
And he's not as deep into the lap.
that there's going to be some cars having some handling difficulties as a result of part failures
4:20 left to play on the clock.
later in the race.
Up and up
So
this hill,
violent.
heading to turn 6.
Look how tight that corner is.
Everything for a good second lap here. Get a good exit for a good second lap.
Everything looks good.
But what he was saying was this lap isn't good enough to lay a good lap time down. So even if you have to kind of throw away this part of the racetrack, set up this part so that you can come to the green, which is right here. That's the alternate start finish line to try to maximize this second lap speed.
Carrying plenty of speed in here. Now it really counts. This is the one that counts. We go from William Byron to his Hendrick Motorsport teammate Chase Elliott.
The fastest. Also, Cedric on a decent lap.
Back straight chicane. Little bit of bicycling there, up on 2 wheels. And Van Gisbergen has begun his lap. Cindric to the line. And Cindric to 4th. Nice work.
He's going to be dangerous tomorrow.
This is up and over, out of turn 1, up and through turn 2, heading to 3. And remember, Tyler Reddick and Shane Van Gisbergen were the top 2 quickest in their respective groups. Van Gisbergen had the fastest overall from the first phase of qualifying. And now he's doing the chasing. It's Reddick with the time to beat. 2:20 left on the clock. Kiwi is in the green, Jeff. 3.5 tenths of a second to the good.
It's going back the other way, though. He did not have good corner exit speed. Carried a lot of speed.
Yeah.
207. Losing it down the back. But this is where he's
Still losing it.
These fast chicanes. Let's see if he's right there with Reddick. Good entry speed.
He's on the pole for this afternoon's.
That's unbelievable how much he picked up going through there. He probably picked like 2 tenths up.
As he comes to the
He got it.
Shane Van Gisbergen to the top.
He picked up 2 tenths in that corner alone.
How about that?
That was close, man.
Yes, it was. It was really close. Less than 900ths of a second between them. His friend Keselowski for RFK Racing.
I'm surprised Brad's not in last.
Yeah, but a good day for Brad Keselowski nonetheless.
Yeah, 8th.
Fastest.
That's great
The
for
way
him.
that he pushed his way into this top 10 showdown was pretty awesome. But how about that? SVG Shane Van Gisbergen does the double. Xfinity Series pole. And with a minute left on the clock, it'd have to be something spectacular for Kyle Larson to push him off.
Larson 6th fastest right here already. Like he didn't have a clean lap though. His first run.
Bubba Wallace out on track, and so too his teammate, the 45 of Tyler Reddick. So maybe, just maybe, Tyler might have something for Shane Van Gisbergen. He's in the green early in his lap. We'll continue to track that. Wallace is close as well. For Kyle Larson on screen, it's going away from him. And the clock is at 3, 2, 1. No more time left, but the flying laps on track count.
Tyler Reddick right there with SVG. But as this lap continues, the tires are going to get lower. Going to get hotter. They already have 1 lap on them.
He's got a good lap going.
Shaking Shane Van Gisbergen's hand, but they've got to keep an eye on Tyler Reddick.
Yeah, I was going to say, he ain't done yet.
Yeah.
He lost a lot of time.
Yes.
Lost some time through turn 6, but gained it back in 7.
Qualifiers from their respective groups are fighting out of the top here. SVG absolutely nailed this part of the racetrack. Let's see if Reddick can match it. Van Gisbergen is going to sweep qualifying in Xfinity and Cup. Reddick is trying to go back-to-back holes at the Roval. There's only a tenth of a second in it.
Oh, he's gaining a lot on the apron. Wow.
Now it's the moment where Shane Van Gisbergen knows he's got the pole.
He picked up, but not enough.
Series today.
He picked up from his first lap.
Yeah, for the second time today, Shane Van Gisbergen wins a pole at the Roval. How fun was that, though, to watch the closing laps and Tyler Reddick try and chase your time?
Yeah, he's obviously very quick to do those extra laps and still match it. But, man, thank you to the Paulig Racing team. Last-minute deal to come and race here. So thanks to Matt and the guys for letting me run their car. And, of course, WeatherTech for coming on board, too. So Chevy's really quick. What an amazing day. I've lost for words.
Good car, fast car. Tomorrow, what do you have to do to start and finish in the first position?
Yeah, just make sure we race clean. You know, I have to respect, there's a lot of playoff guys around me. I have to race respectfully. But yeah, we're here to win the race. I got a teammate up there with me too. So obviously the team's done a great job. But yeah, hopefully we have a good day.
Really good work. Really good work from Shane Van.
All right, so we will have the full field starting lineup up for you, I would imagine, right now. Here we go. So tomorrow's Bank of America Roval 400 starting lineup looks like this. We've got Shane Van Gisbergen on the pole, Tyler Reddick front row starting in second as the highest qualifying playoff driver. AJ Allmendinger, the defending winner of this race, will start inside of row 2, Joey Logano to the outside. Austin Cindric, Kyle Larson make up row 3. And in row number 4, it will be Chase Elliott and Brad Keselowski. Row number 5, Bubba Wallace and William Byron. Row 6, just outside the top 10, Kyle Busch and Christopher Bell. Daniel Suarez, Ryan Blaney in row 7. Row 8 for Todd Gilliland and Ross Chastain. In row number 9, it'll be Alex Bowman, Denny Hamlin, 2 playoff drivers. 2 non-playoff drivers behind him in row 10 of Ty Gibbs and Carson Hocevar. Michael McDowell and Austin Dillon, row 11. And then row 12, Zane Smith and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. In row 13, Chase Briscoe and Harrison Burton. Briscoe, the furthest back starting playoff driver for the race tomorrow. Daniel Hemrick and Corey LaJoie make up row 14. Row 15 for Chris Buescher and Martin Truex Jr. Kaz Grala and Noah Gragson in row number 16. Row 17 for Justin Haley and Ryan Preece. Row 18, John Hunter Nemechek and Josh Berry. And rounding out the field of row 19 will be Eric Jones and Josh Bilicki. So that is a starting lineup for tomorrow's Bank of America Roval 400. Thanks for listening to our live commentary stream of NASCAR Cup Series practice and qualifying. I will see you guys later at 4 p.m. Eastern, top of the next hour for the NASCAR Xfinity race. For those of you I don't see there, I will see you tomorrow during the NASCAR Cup Series race coverage. Our pre-race will begin for that at 1:30 p.m. Eastern. I got to go watch my Tigers try to pull this thing out over the next 50 minutes or so. So I'm getting out of here pretty quickly, but appreciate it. As always, thanks for watching, everyone. And also, thanks for hitting that like goal of 50. We're at 51 likes currently, so be sure to hit the like button if you haven't yet, so we can add to that already growing total and add to that goal. But see you guys very soon. Again, thanks for watching some practice and qualifying today.